Yo, it's your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, back at you with a new video. Today is Monday, March 31st, 2025, with your boy Ryan and the Northwest Sports Fanatics. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can. Cash App $ ORIONNWSF or the YouTube Super Chat right here. We got the Detroit Tigers versus the Seattle Mariners. First pitch is going to be here in just a minute or two, so let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get into the starting lineups. And on the thumb, on the left, the individual that struggled, that got back into the starting lineup, Spencer Torkelson. And on the right, the hero yesterday versus the A's, hitting that homer to help us win, Julio Rodriguez. Now let's get into starting lineups here first for the visiting Detroit Tigers. Leading off for the Tigers at DH, Justin Henry Malloy. Batting second, playing left field tonight for the Tigers, Gary Carpenter. Batting third, playing center field, Riley Green. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, first baseman, Spencer Torkelson. Batting fifth, playing second base, Colt Keith. Batting sixth, playing right field, Zach McKinstry. Batting seventh, catching tonight for the Tigers, Dylan Dingler. Batting eighth, playing shortstop, Trey Sweeney. And batting ninth, playing third base, Javier Baez. And on the mound for the Tigers, Jackson Jobe. Now let's get into the starting lineups here for the Seattle Mariners. Leading off for the Mariners in right field, Victor Robles. Batting second, playing center field, Julio Rodriguez. Batting third, catching tonight for the Mariners, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, left fielder, Randy Arozarena. Batting fifth, playing third base, Jorge Polanco. Batting sixth, playing first base, Luke Raley. Batting seventh, playing DH, Rowdy Tellez. Batting eighth, playing second base, Ryan Bliss. And batting ninth, playing shortstop, J.P. Crawford. And on the mound, filling in for George Kirby with the injury, we should get him back in a couple weeks, our five-hole pitcher. And again, we'll see what we get here today. He might struggle, but hopefully he does well. Emerson Hancock. Let's go, baby. Do the best that you can. And, if he gives up 1 to 3 runs, it's kind of what we assume. But if we give up, 3-4 runs, that means obviously we're going to have to score 4 runs or more, especially if the pitching isn't going to be the greatest. Out of our starting 6 pitchers, this is the worst one that we have. Right now, if you're kind of looking at the power rankings, normally it would be like Logan Gilbert 1, George Kirby 2, Brian Wu 3, Bryce Miller 4, Luis Castillo 5, and Emerson Hancock 6. But since George Kirby missed the beginning of the season with shoulder inflammation, this is going to be the, kind of the 5-spot guy. Hopefully we can get it done here today, and the bats need to come alive. Megan in the building, what's good? Sarah in the building, what's good? And we're going to be shooting for 20 likes within the first hour, 30 to 50 overall. If we hit the algorithm and get a little bit of movement, and obviously we'll be shooting for 100 in the donos on every single stream. Megan in the building, Sarah in the building, David in the building, Captain in the building, what's good? And I apologize, it took me a little bit longer to kind of get set up. I wanted to be live about 5 or 10 minutes ago, but again, I had a light that I had to replace here in the room, and had to kind of go back and forth with the thumbnail, and I had a couple different images, but I made it just in time. Let's go, baby. And way to be a hero, Julio Rodriguez. It's much better to see Julio hit his first home run, within the first couple games of the season, instead of waiting until his 10th, 15th, or 20th game before he gets his first homer on the board. So that's a very good sign. Now, overall, the hitting hasn't been good, But what's new? The Mariners have struggled and been a bottom 5 hitting team the last 3 to 4 years. But what was a little bit of a surprise is that our bullpen kind of stinks, and the defense hasn't really been the greatest either. Like I mentioned, I told you guys that the A's were my number 1 team that I thought that would be better than they were last year. And they obviously played pretty well due to the struggles in our bullpen and our hitting. So we ended up splitting the series 2-2. But don't be surprised, if things end up being decent for the obviously A's this season. All right, once we get settled in here, we'll definitely do that. And they already got a 1-0 lead. Holy hell. Come on, Mariners. But we already know that Emerson Hancock obviously is our worst pitcher. So, again, we'll see how it all kind of played out here as I get all my cameras and everything all situated here. But not a good start for Emerson Hancock. But, am I surprised? Not really, but again, couldn't you wait until like the second inning, before you ended up giving up a home run or an RBI? Holy hell. Come on now. Popped up. And all the way back to the wall, and Julio can't even get it. Where the hell is the no-fly zone? Jesus. I mean, we're starting off like that. I mean, are we going to have guys like even Julio that can't even play defense? Holy hell. And Justin Henry Malloy, right down the middle with the smoke. Emerson Hancock, we don't really trust him whatsoever. Julio had to make a long run, but he missed it by like a foot. And obviously now we know with the next batter up with Kerry Carpenter, I assume we get an RBI here, obviously with a quick pitch. And that is a little unsettling. But that was kind of on Julio as well. Julio needs to be better in the outfield. I mean, we can't have guys struggle at defense if we're not hitting. And there's Carpenter. And right in between the gap, Victor Robles gets it, fumbles it, and that's how Malloy ends up going home. Holy hell, 2 errors pretty much right out of the gates, even though we didn't get called for those. But Julio not getting to the ball in time leads to a double. Kerry Carpenter hits it hard into right field, and Victor Robles, as he's picking up the baseball, fumbles the bag, and then now it is 1-0. I was going to say, how did we get to 1-0 when the game just fucking started? Holy hell. Next up is Riley Green. Back, gone. You got to be shitting me. 2-0 Tigers. I mean, can't we wait? I mean, I know this guy stinks and whatnot, and he's much worse than Luis Castillo, but please, God, sports gods, are you listening? Get that shoulder healthy for George Kirby so we don't have to see Emerson Hancock at all this year. Oh, my God. Come on, man. My goodness. And just like that, we're sitting at a 2-0 lead already for the Tigers. Oh, my God. That's tough. That is tough. I mean, I was expecting them to get 4 to 5 runs today, and that would put the pressure on us. But, I mean, we already are shaky in our bullpen, and obviously defense hasn't been good. Brutal. We might have to pull this guy within the first couple innings. I mean, this guy's fucking terrible. And we always talk about Castillo being kind of hit or miss, but there is no debate. There is no question. All right, Hancock is a billion times worse than Castillo. I don't trust Castillo whatsoever, but I really don't trust what I'm seeing here on the mound in his first start with Emerson Hancock. Holy hell. My goodness. Everyone going up and down the order, a little double here, a little double there, little home run here. My God. Like that already? And another hit here with little Torkelson. Man, the first 4 batters, everyone getting on. I mean, can we get it out? Terrible start for the Mariners. And again, we ended up luckily getting the split to start off, the series. But this is not what we had in mind for this particular series. Wow. Technical difficulties, obviously, there on Root Sports, and technical difficulties, obviously, with the scoreboard. 2-0 Tigers. And once they get everything settled in, we should be good here. And Riley Green with that homer, ridiculous. 2-0 Tigers. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, Torkelson. Oh. And no Parker Meadows because he's got a nerve issue. And I know that the Tigers, MSU is in the building, of course. You guys haven't won a game yet. But the way that Emerson Hancock is pitching, this might be your first win. And hopefully we can compete with you guys moving forward. So once the broadcast gets all situated, then we should be good to go. But obviously they're having some technical issues on their end at Root Sports. So I apologize for that. Doesn't happen too often, but once in a while. Broken bat right up the middle, and there you go. First 4 batters. Hey, double here, double there, home run here, single here. Man, unbelievable. 4 straight hits right out of the gates. Sarah with a 5 to get us started. I appreciate that. Appreciate that to get us on the board. $5 holla. Stacks on stacks. Racks on racks. Little Cactus Jack bang bang. We're at $5.95 to go. Appreciate you very, very much. Let me know what you want to do photo-wise for your Cardinals. And you guys have been off to a very good start to start off the year. Congratulations to that. Pitch is outside for a ball. 2-0 Tigers. And then I imagine once we get into the Mariner lineup, things will be a little bit more situated for Root. (3-0) to Colt Keith. Pitches outside, and Keith with a walk. What's new? Double here, double there, home run here, single here, and a walk here. Pull his ass. Jesus Christ. Terrible. I mean, you might as well bring in, if we're going to have a guy like this pitching for us, you might as well bring in a guy like Durangelo being a rookie. He can't be any worse than what we're seeing right here. This is terrible. And again, we know Hancock has been hit or miss, but this is like a single A performance, not even triple A worthy. And I know, obviously, for MSU Tigers fan in the building, he's loving it because their team is 0-3, and it's been a rough start for them to start off. And what do you know? McKinstry flied out. We actually get an out or two? Oh, wow. Unbelievable. Runners at first and second at the top of the first with now 2 outs. Holy hell. And then up will be Dylan Dingler. Laz Nuba, I got you. And they're getting all situated here. 2-0 count. Pitches outside. 3-0 count. And hopefully the offense will be able to, come to play, though. Again, I figured we were going to need about 4 or 5 runs to get situated here, but Megan with a 10er, appreciate you. And I'll get some photos posted up here for you in a moment. And, wow. Finally get a strike there, huh? Big swing and a miss. Full count now. 3-2 count for Hancock. Megan with a 10er. Appreciate you. Stacks on stacks. Racks on racks. Little Cactus Jack. Bang, bang. No problem. Go Kraken. Thank you so much, and I'll be able to post what you sent me here in a second. Popped up on the 3-2 pitch with runners at first and second. There we go. Now things are getting caught up a little bit here with Root and their issues. 2 away. And next up will be Dylan Dingler. We're at 15. 85 to go. That one pop foul. Line in the count 0-1. Well, I mean, it's a bad start, but it could always be worse. We could be sitting in a 5-0 hole. So hopefully we get out of this inning with just 2, and that would be a success, considering the first 4 batters. But also, it's not just Hancock's fault. It's Victor Robles' fault. It's Julio's fault. If Julio would have caught that foul ball or that that ball that was in play, that would have been 1 away. And if Victor didn't fumble the bag, maybe it would have been a single instead of a double, and maybe that guy doesn't come home. So, it's not just Hancock. I don't know if these guys are just, hungover or what's going on, but I mean, the A series definitely took a lot out of them. Maybe they came into this matchup a little overconfident, thinking that, these guys are 0-3. We've had pretty good success with them history-wise. But again, you can't take anybody for granted, even a team that's 0-3. And what a shitty start for us, but hopefully we can get out of this inning here. Top of the first, 2-0 Tigers. Hancock on the mound. Runners at first and second with 2 outs. 2-2 pitch here to Dylan Dingler. Now, Hancock is having a pitch comm issue. What's new there? Oh, God. 3-0 Tigers. Come on. Oh, my God. Dingler. 2-2. Count remains 2-2. I'm trying to get some of these things situated here for you. And right in between the gap, man, the defense is just goddamn terrible. 3-0 Tigers. I mean, we were supposed to have one of the best outfields player for player, and I expect a hell of a lot more out of Randy Arozarena, Julio Rodriguez, and Victor Robles, especially knowing that this is our worst pitcher, that we got. Let me get the photos that Megan sent me. They're starting to load here. Get the Lars Nootbaar as well for Sarah. Make the bleeding stop, please. Holy hell. I mean, they're 4-0 Tigers. Make it stop. Oh, my God. Send this guy back to, like, single A or cut him. Fuck. Jesus Christ. Yeah, you got to get he's got to get out. I mean, the guy can't hit the zone. Terrible. I mean, we're already at 4-0, and we have a hard time even getting to 2 to 3 runs in a game. And they have Sauce warming up. Fuck. Oh, my God. Little blooper over J.P. Crawford's head, of course. And that brings in that other run, 4-0. I mean, this is a disaster, to say the least. Oh, my God. I mean, I've seen bad starts to games before, but I don't know what's in the air today. Obviously, Root Sports was having some technical difficulties. Emerson Hancock himself is having technical difficulties. Our whole outfield is having technical difficulties. And now you get a ball hit right over JP's head, not his fault. And what a disaster. Get some photos up here, and hopefully things will get better as we get out of this fucking inning at some point. Appreciate you, Sarah. Get you a little Laz Lupa. I'll get Megan's photos. They're loading here as well. Appreciate you. 9th batter of the inning. Is that good? My God. Pitch in the middle for a strike. Finally gets a strike there in the top of the first. 4-0 Tigers. Runners at first and third with 2 outs. My goodness. I mean, I've seen bad starts, but man, oh man. And obviously the Tigers being 0-3, they're definitely very hungry to be able to get this dub. And, I knew that they were going to win at some point in this series, but I did not expect Hancock to look like the worst pitcher on planet Earth. 6-0 Tigers. Oh, my God. Baez doubled the left. I mean, is the game over already? We're in the first inning. We are in the first. I mean, Dan Wilson, pull him already. I mean, he can't even get out of the first inning with 3 outs. Like, your faith in a guy that's going from 1-0 to 2-0 to 3-0 to 4-0 to now to 6-0? Really? Shit. And they're already back at the top of the order. I mean, it's like, the Tigers are playing a AAA team right now. All the way back to the wall. Baez, Dingler, everybody. And the fans are booing, as they should. Now we're back up at the top of the order. Justin Henry Malloy. My goodness. Oh, there goes Hancock. Might as well, cut him now. What a terrible start. All right, let's get some photos up here while we're waiting for the pitching change, which won't be any better because you're bringing in Taylor Saucedo, and he's goddamn terrible also. Oh, brother. All right, let's get these photos up for the donos here real quick. Appreciate you, Sarah and Megan, to get us going. Maybe the worst start in a game that I've ever seen. Like, no lie. I've seen, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games. But I don't know if I've ever seen a game start off as bad as this. We got a little Nas Lupa there for Sarah with her first dono, and then we'll get Megan's photos up here. I got to move some stuff around. Oh, man. What a day, what a day, what a day. Not what I was anticipating whatsoever. You got your little Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox, little cosplay action going here with some of your extra items that have come in the mail. You got starting off with some shoes there. Little LA gear. Okay, I see you. And then, with a little shirt action there. The vest with the other shirt. Okay, I see you. It's starting to come together. You're really going all in, with it. And, you should. Awesome that those things are starting to come in. And, they'll have to do a double take between you and Michael J. Fox. It's going to be very, very good. Appreciate you very, very much. Go Kraken. And apologize I wasn't able to get those up a little bit sooner. Obviously, the Root Sports was having little technical difficulties. Obviously, our whole team right now is having technical difficulties. And now we bring in Taylor Saucedo, which is probably our worst guy in the pen. So it can't get any worse, can it? It can. I mean, it could end up being, 10-0 by the time it's like the third inning. But, I mean, hopefully for our sake, the bats will come alive. So even if we don't win this game, it'll carry over some Uncle Mo or some momentum. But whose idea is to bring in Sauce? Really? Like, out of everyone on the team, that's the guy that you bring in? Like, that should be the last guy that you bring in. But, I mean, it's only 1 out, so you would assume that he'll get that. But guess what? He won't. He'll walk or hit a couple guys, give up a couple singles. He will not get this guy out, 100%. 1-1 pitch, pitches outside, 2-1 count, can't hit the zone, has no control, has no swag, no confidence. And I like lefties typically, and I like guys that are typically linked to the Pacific Northwest, but this breaks my rule. You might be a lefty and you might be, Pacific Northwest ties, but I don't want anything to do with you. Pitches outside, 3-1 count. Go Mariners? Let's go, baby. It'd be the first time I've ever seen a game, quote unquote, over in the first inning. But I have faith that we're going to get something going at some point. I don't know when. Worst start I've ever seen. And that is a walk. I knew it. Nice job, Sauce. They've already gone through the order, right? Malloy, Carpenter, Green, Torkelson, Keith, McKinstry, Engler, Sweeney, Baez, all the way back up to Malloy, and he just got walked, and now we're back at the number 2 hitter again, and we're just in the first inning. Gary Carpenter up now. Runners at first and second with 2 outs. I don't know what to say. Pitches low and into the dirt. 1-0 count. 6-0 Tigers. Worst start I've ever seen. Hancock, terrible. But again, it wouldn't have been this bad if we could have had some defense early on. Maybe it would be like 4-0 right now instead of 6. Still terrible, but, you know, coming back from 4 is a lot better than coming back from 6 in the first inning. And you know what's really crazy is Parker Meadows, one of their best players, has got like a nerve issue. And if he was playing, he'd probably be going yard right now. 1-1 pitch. Crushed down the middle, fading foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes. With runners at first and second with 2 outs. We've already been through the order once, and we're already on the number 2 hitter again. I might need therapy after this game. All the donos will go towards my therapy after this one. Pitches outside. Can't hit the zone on the left side. Can't hit the zone on the right side. I mean, Tigers right now pacing for 40 runs. And they're not using torpedo bats. Time is called. Odin with a 10er. Appreciate you. Thank you, Odin. And I did watch all of Monday Night Raw in London at the early time. It was awesome. Pitches outside. Really making Cal work for his money. Count is full. But we finally got to see John Cena as well as Cody Rhodes go one-on-one on the microphone. And, Cody even mentioned some of his flaws early on, like with the lisp and going to AEW and whatnot. But they both cooked on the mic, and it was actually a pretty good show. The crowd wasn't the greatest, compared to some of the other countries in the European tour. 3-2 pitch, chopper up the middle, throw to first. Holy hell. And we got out of the inning. Holy hell. It's a miracle. 6-0 Tigers, 6 runs, 7 hits, and we're in the bottom of the first. Wow. Nice job by the Tigers. You just got to give them credit. But again, not only Hancock, it was terrible, but again, Julio and Robles, Arozarena, and some of these other guys in the outfield, if they were able to kind of stop the bleeding early, maybe it's 3-0, maybe 4-0, but it wouldn't have escalated to 6. But hopefully the bats will come alive because we're going to need it. Next up for the Mariners, right fielder, Victor Robles. Batting second, our hero against the Athletics, hitting his first home run, which is nice within the first 4 games, rather than waiting into game 20, like in years past. In the 2-hole, Julio Rodriguez. And batting third, catcher, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. But, it can't get any worse than Hancock and Sauce. 2 of our worst starter, worst bullpen, and then you had to have that in the first inning. But I don't know what to say. I am flabbergasted. I am at a loss for words. And Kevin and Brandy are right as well. Vierling is also injured as well. So, but at this point, you could have a bunch of AAA guys, and you guys would be, wheeling and dealing. So, and I know that Kenta Maeda is day-to-day. Angel De Jesus is obviously out. Wilmer Flores, Gleyber Torres, the former Yankee, on the 10-day IL, and Brian Servant. So they got a few guys injured as well. And for us, Cranton, no one knows who that is. Trevor Gott, not really a big deal. Taylor Dollard. But the big ones for us are Troy Taylor and George Kirby. And Taylor is slated to be back in about a week and Kirby in about 2 weeks. And, at this time, we need them like now. Like, we need these guys, Taylor and Kirby, now. But let's see what the lineup hopefully can do here in the first. Odin's son with a tenner. Appreciate you. I mean, I need therapy after this one. $10 dono. Appreciate you. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks. Little cactus jack. Bang, bang. And I'll get your photos up that you sent me from Monday Night Raw here in just a moment. 1-1 pitch to Robles, right up the middle. Throw to first. One away. Jackson Jobe on the mound. Victor Robles with a little ground out, one away. Next up, center fielder Julio Rodriguez. And we're going to need an Aaron Judge type of performance, with those torpedo bats here today. But hell, I don't even know if the torpedo bat would be able to help us. 6-0 Tigers. Probably the worst start. I'm being honest, too, not just, overreacting. This probably is the worst start to a Mariner game that I've ever seen. Like, no lie. And I've watched since 1985. It definitely is up there. 0-1 count to Julio as he chops that one. We're at 25, 75 to go. Jobe pitches outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Big swing and a miss, a little off balance there. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Jobe to Julio Rodriguez. First major league start here for Jobe. Julio, hard hit ball towards second base, throw to first, 2 away. Next up is big dumper Cal Raleigh. First pitch, big swing and a miss there for Cal Raleigh. See if I can find a better Jackson Jobe photo for everyone. That one is decent, but it doesn't fit the screen. I need to get a better one. Not to my standard. I mean, it's crispy enough, but it doesn't fit the screen, so we'll have to find another one. Cal Raleigh behind in the count, 0-2. Jobe, Cal, high heat, back, but fading foul. I've tried to 5 photos of Jackson Jobe, and none of them are formatted. Now we finally got one to format that is maybe up to my standard here. There we go. That's a good one. Big swing and a miss. And Jobe with his first punch out in his MLB career. Nice job, Jackson. First punch out against Cal Raleigh. That would be one that he'll never forget. Nice job. All right, let's see if we can get the photos up here. I need to format this. Jackson Jobe and put it into my Tiger file for the future. Won't be the last time that we see Jackson Jobe. Let's go there. Let's delete all these other photos. Let's go to the trash, delete those. And then we got to get Odin's photos from Monday Night Raw. Did you send them to me on, can you send them to me on X? So that way I can pull them from there. Oh, you did. I'm slow. My bad. All right. You did send them to me there. Hold on. It's just easier for me to pull them from there than from my text message. Then I got to save it, and then I got to format it and then bring it over this way. So thank you so much for that. But yeah, the feud obviously is starting to kind of heat up, and Gunther, getting a little bloody there with obviously Jimmy, and Jay being obviously hogtied there with the little restraints and whatnot. Let's see if we can pull these up here real quick. But there was a little bit of a bloody mess, so to speak. There was definitely a few decent matches. But obviously you knew after the slap the previous week that the revenge was going to happen. But normally this is not the, you see Gunther kind of, be a little ruthless, and, try to be able to do submissions after the matches are over. But you normally don't see a lot of blood with Gunther, even though that really wasn't his blood. It was, obviously Jimmy's. So not a whole lot of yeeting there in London, but I did enjoy a good majority of the show. Let's go into the top of the second. And we have Sauce still in the game, which is a nightmare. Last time we had 6 runs in the first inning was in 2021 versus the Astros. And the Mariners came back and won that game 11-8. But that is not probably going to happen today. 0-2 pitch. Popped up. And Green fades that one foul. Appreciate you, Odin. Anything else that you want to be able to see, let me know, and I got you. Oh, man. So we haven't had a bad start like this, since the Astro game in 2021, but we came back and won 11-8. The chances of that happening again in this game is probably like 1% or less than 1%, just because of our struggles offensively and defensively, but you never know. Big swing and a miss. And Sauce actually gets a strikeout. Wow. One away. Riley Green goes down. Next up, first baseman Spencer Torkelson. And it's a great story for Spencer, obviously being a highly touted, player coming into the bigs and then getting sent down. And obviously it affected his mental health and obviously his confidence and his swagger. And then to be able to get yourself back up, out of AAA and on the team, it is a good thing to see, especially if you're a Tiger fan. Now you just need some of these other guys that are hurt, obviously Parker Meadows and company, to be healthy as well. And then they'll be cooking. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And the Tigers finished the season very strong. And even though they started off 0-3, it wouldn't shock me if they kind of get back, to their winning ways, obviously starting off with today. 2-1 pitch there to Torkelson. Pitch is low and outside. 3 balls and 1 strike. Yeah, talking about, and I guarantee you that when we were down 6 runs in the first inning, we didn't have Emerson Hancock or Sauce on the mound. It might have been, I'm kind of interested to see who was on the mound for that game, but was it one of our studs or was it one of the fill-in guys? It didn't say, but top of the second, 6-0 Tigers, 3-2 pitch to Torkelson, and guess what? A hit right past third base. And that's a problem because we know Jorge Polanco can't play defense. I sent a nice highlight, obviously, in the farm system of a guy named Ben Williamson. And again, he might be a better option than Polo. Polo's been good offensively, maybe the best player offensively so far, which isn't saying a whole lot, but, defensively, kind of a nightmare. He's got a noodle arm. Can't even throw it to first base. He couldn't even play second base. What made them think that he could actually go to third and have to throw a farther distance, with accuracy? He can't. And then now you see guys like Eugenio Suarez, getting player of the month and hitting home run after home run. They were really stupid with that whole Robbie Ray, Eugenio Suarez for cash, kind of deal. We should have never let him go. And that could have been our third baseman for years to come. Good vibes only. That was a mistake. But, it's the Mariners. We make mistakes on the regular. Next up here in the box is second baseman Colt Keith. But I'm not surprised that Eugenio Suarez is playing great. He's always had a great attitude. He's a great defender, and obviously he can hit. And just a damn shame, we went from him where we had something good. They took it for granted. We brought in Josh Rojas, who did okay, but then struggled late. And then obviously now we got Polo, who can, kind of hit this year. Couldn't do it last year, but now the defense is terrible. So, and again, that was my worry. First base, second base, third base, shortstop, the infield. And if you can't hit and you can't defend, it's going to be a long year. 3-0 pitch from Sauce. Right down the middle for a strike. 3 balls and 1 strike with 1 out. Runner at first, top of the second, 6-0 Detroit. Britt in the building. What's good? How are you? 3-1 pitch. Pitch is outside and a walk for Sauce. Next up is Zach McKinstry. All my friends right now are saying, hey, we're fucked right now because Sauce is in. I'm like, yeah, I know. Yeah. First pitch there to McKinstry. Guess what? A ball. 0 for 1 and a flyout in the first. One of the only guys that didn't get a hit in that first inning, it seems like. But we'll see if Sauce can get us out of this inning. Chopper. Rayleigh is there, and he taps first base, and 2 away. Runners advance to second and third. Next up is Dylan Dingler. And we're playing like a bunch of dingleberries here today. Down 6-0 at the moment. Oh, Devils. Big win against the Minnesota Wild. Nice. Sauce already 30 pitches in. And I don't know how long they think they can go with Sauce, a guy that normally only pitches an out, sometimes an inning with 3 batters if he can get 3 guys out. But popped up. Victor Robles back to the warning track. And we get out of the inning, thank God, and we leave 2 stranded. So the bleeding has stopped somewhat, but we're still down 6-0. Let's see who's up next for the Mariners, and hopefully we can get some action. Next up here in the bottom of the second with a 6-0 deficit, left fielder Randy Arozarena. And we're going to need this Randy. Trident's up. Batting second, a guy that can't defend, but he has been good hitting, third baseman Jorge Polanco. Let's go Polo. And batting third, first baseman Luke Rayleigh. We need some fucking nukes. Let's go. And Odin sent me another photo here. But I do highly recommend anyone that has not got a chance to see Monday Night Raw, since me and Odin, it seems like we're the only ones that watched it at noon, the regular time that it was for London. But it definitely was worth it. And a nice Devils win there against the Wild. Congrats. A lot of blood there for Gunther. And obviously with Jimmy. And, with Jimmy with the big slap as Jay with zip ties on the ropes. It's definitely going to be very interesting. But I feel like, one of the most entertaining parts of the show was obviously starting it off with Cena and Cody Rhodes in the ring for Cena's last appearance before WrestleMania, where they could actually kind of go toe-to-toe on the mic. Everyone thinking that Cena was just going to bury him, because he's got a lisp. Cody is good on the microphone. He's gotten better over the years. And, there was a couple jabs from both sides and whatnot. So there we go, Randy. Back, gone. That's what I'm talking about, baby. You talk about home runs. We talk about, hey, we need one of these, right? We need one of these. And then Randy's like, fuck it, I'll give you one. Boom, shakalaka, 6-1 Tigers. Nice job, Randy. That's what I'm fucking talking about. Bring that electricity. Fuck, we need it. There we go. There we go. Now we're only down 5. Randy. Now my phone's blowing up for a positive reason. Randy. Let's go. Yeah, Oh, baby, he got all of that. Back, back, back. See ya! There we go. Yeah, I mean, and then, with Cody, mentioning his flaws, at the very beginning with the lisp and, the neck tattoo that should be on the arm and, going to AEW, but he did have some pretty good jabs, because, again, no one has ever, said that Cody Rhodes can't wrestle. And Cena's style of wrestling, to me, is kind of boring, and he is kind of robotic out there. And the best one of all was said that, hey, you know what? You were pushed by someone that's not here anymore, Vince McMahon. And that was true. That was Vince's boy. Austin Theory probably was hoping that Vince was still there, that maybe he would be able to get a push, not as big as Cena's, but it was looking like they were trying to manufacture, if Vince was still in charge, that maybe Austin Theory would be a lot bigger today, if Vince was still around. So I like the jabs back and forth, but it was entertaining. But one thing is for sure, I'm glad that we'll have WWE, Monday Night Raw, and all of the shows, NXT and SmackDown, back in the States. Obviously, they had a run in that European tour that was great, but I'm ready to get back to watching Raw at the regular time. Let's go, baby. Let's go, Luke. 6-1 Tigers, bottom of the second with one out. Obviously, Polo there. And that pitch is low and into the dirt. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Job, making his first start, getting all kinds of extra run support to make him feel very confident here today. And then we got Luke Rayleigh in the box. 243 average, 22 homers, and 58 ribbies in 2024. Pitches outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes for Nuke Rayleigh. Yeah, I don't know. I thought Cena kind of, some people on social media thought Cena won the battle. I don't think so. I thought that, if you had to go based on the jabs, I would probably go like 70-30 Cody. There was some relevance, with some stuff that Cena said, but most of it was kind of garbage, in my opinion. Like it could have been better, and whatnot. I didn't think it was really that great. So it definitely can show you like who is aligned with who, but I felt like Cody ended up winning the promo battle. So 3-2 pitch from Job to Rayleigh. He chops that one foul. Pitch is low and inside, and that's a walk. We'll take that from Job. There we go. Rayleigh to first. Next up is Rowdy Tellez. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I'm never going to be like overly, negative. When shit like hits the fan, there'll be some frustration that comes out just like anyone at home that's watching this first inning, like just this utter collapse with Emerson Hancock and obviously Sauce coming in. But I'm always going to be, the more positive person, on social media as well as on YouTube. Again, someone has to see the bright side in everything. And again, there's always too many negative people, day in and day out. I'm always going to give you that, and it's not a false glimmer of hope. I'm going to give it to you real. When things are good, they're good. When they're bad, they're bad. I'm going to call a spade. But sometimes things aren't as bad as the Mariner fans want to kind of believe they are. They're just kind of stuck in this rut of the same thing happening from year in and year out within the last 3 to 4 years. But that doesn't mean, that we're going to miss the playoffs again by 1 game, or 1 to 3 games. Like we might be able to make it this year. We might win the division at 88 to 90 wins. We might get a wild card, and we might end up missing it by 1 to 3 games. But I still feel, as the season gets going, and the warm weather starts to happen, that, we'll play better. Popped up in foul territory there. 2 away. Nothing there for Rowdy Tellez, but hopefully he'll be able to help us out. And next up, second baseman Ryan Bliss. We're at 25, 75 to go. I don't know. I just feel like most content creators that cover the Mariners, they're like 99% negative, and after a while, do you really want to listen to someone bitch and complain about stuff that everyone already knows? Like, how often are you going to make a video on YouTube or on Instagram or social media, trashing the owner or the GM? Like, we've already heard that. Like, that's been an ongoing thing. Like, that's not something that you need to make a new video for every single day. Like, you have to be able to actually look at the team and, the new prospects, the farm system. You have to be able to find, the good in the bad. 0-1 pitch from Job to Ryan Bliss. Pitch is high and outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Yeah, the 105 was that would have been amazing if we were able to do that. I think I was 90, 95 and you were 100, 105, and we both came short there. Little slow dribbler, and that's foul. But you know what, though? At some point, in the next 5 to 10 years, if our players and our pitching staff and the bullpen, and we actually get the right combination, it is possible that we could end up hitting 95, 100 wins at some point. It's not like that number is like so far out that it's ridiculous. For some Mariner fans, it might be like a dream, but if you look at our pitching staff and if you look at the players that we have, and if we can keep getting better and better, you got to crawl before you walk. I mean, I think it is possible at some point, maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but at some point in the next 5 to 10 years, it is possible. And we could hit that 95 to 100 win, number. But, if we can get into the dance, just with 88 to 90 wins and then make a run, that's all you need, even as a wild card team. Bliss goes down to a knee, chop that one foul. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Pitch outside. Count is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Three-two pitch. Bliss slugged it back to the warning track and just short of a homer. But that's a good sign for Ryan Bliss. For a guy that's a little undersized like J.P. Crawford. And a lot of times when you end up hitting balls deep early, sometimes that'll lead to a homer later in the game or in tomorrow's game. So that's a good sign for Ryan Bliss. But we end up getting out of that inning. But Randy Arozarena at least gets us on the board. So where you don't, the bleeding has, we're not bleeding out anymore, right? So now we're down 5, but it's still very bad. 6-1 Tigers. Let's go to the top of the 3rd. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us try to get the algorithm, and we're at 25, 75 to go to hit the goal. Let's go. And we need, 5 more likes to get to 20. So if you are in the room and haven't done it, now we got a few more. Thank you so much. Now we're at 17. Just 3 more to go, and then we're already at 20. Let's go. Oh, man, what a crazy start to the game. First time we've given up 6 runs since 2021. But I do like the fact that Randy got us on the board. So that's a good sign. And if Randy can get one early, maybe this is a multi-homer game for him. Maybe he'll get another later in the game. I'm trying to talk it into existence. Sometimes that's all you need, so... And I saw on socials that Peter Schrager's last day from Good Morning Football and NFL Network, as he took a job to go to ESPN. They must have paid him a shitload of money to go over there because ESPN is a dumpster fire. But now we don't have to worry about Peter Schrager stealing material from YouTubers like myself anymore, even though he probably still will. And that show has definitely gone from being must-see TV to now, I don't want to say unwatchable. It's still watchable. But again, it's definitely done a big facelift since we've had, Schrager, Kyle Brandt, Kay Adams, and Nate Burleson. So And then even having to replace McCourty, I thought Jason actually did a pretty good job filling in for Nate. And then obviously he didn't want to move from New York to California where they moved their offices. But, we'll see what kind of material Schrager will steal from other people on social media. I imagine he'll still do the same, but I imagine he got a lot of money. He sold his soul to the devil for money to go to ESPN instead of just staying on Good Morning Football and NFL Network. Now the only original member left is Kyle Brandt. Throw to first. And Rayleigh goes off the bag and is safe. Nice hit there by Trey Sweeney. Bliss has got to be a little bit better there on that throw. Next up is Javier Baez. I mean, I guess it's kind of flattering when you get someone like Peter Schrager, who's supposed to be like the sports nerd, stealing your catchphrases and whatnot and acting like he made it up, like Uncle Mo, because, he stole that and used it on the show multiple times, and you best know and you best believe where he got it from. But he doesn't like to respond back to people, when he steals their material. 0-1 pitch as we have Colin Snyder in the game, so thank God we don't have Taylor Saucedo in there, and hopefully Snyder's pretty good. I don't mind Colin Snyder. I think he's actually one of the better guys in the pen. 1-1 pitch. Pitch is high and outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Top of the third, 6-1 Tigers. Runner at first with no outs. 2-1 pitch from Snyder to Baez. Baez, sharply hit. Double play opportunity. Throw to first. Got him. There we go. There's some defense for you. All right, Bliss. All right, JP. All right, Luke. Nice job. Nice double play there. Next up is Justin Henry Malloy, the DH. First pitch there in the zone for a strike to Malloy. 0-1 count. Let's go, baby. Mariners till I die. Even if we give up 6 runs with Emerson Hancock and then bring in Sauce. Again, hopefully this will be our worst start of the season, and hopefully it doesn't happen for the rest of the season. But again, if we can hold them to 6, until, a good chunk of the game. If we can get it to 6-3 by, let's say the 6th inning, we'll have a chance. I don't know what the probability is of holding the Tigers to just these 6 runs. Probably not very much, not a very good probability. But, if we can hold them to 6 or 7 total and we can get to 3 runs, by the 6th, we'll have a shot, You never know when that hot bat, where we can end up having that nice inning where we can get 1 to 3 runs, even though it has been difficult for us. One-two pitch to Malloy. Pitch is low and inside at the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes from Colin Snyder to Justin Henry Malloy. Two-two pitch. Pitch is outside. Now count is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes for Colin Snyder. Come on, Colin. Yeah, that's a walk. Oh, hell. And Carpenter doubled the center. Malloy scored 7-1 Tigers. Well, wishful thinking, I guess, on my part. I was thinking, maybe 6 or 7, but now they already got 7 in the third. Oh, carry. Damn you. Oh, Carpenter crushed the fuck out of that baseball all the way back to the wall. Julio, and you know when they're going from first to home that they are flying out there. Terrible throw to Cal Raleigh, and there it is, 7-1 Tigers. Holy hell. Next up is center fielder Riley Green. All smiles for the Tigers, all frowns and shoulder shrugs for the Mariners, at least at this point. Yeah, I'll do non-Mariner games. Obviously, the first team that I would do after the Mariners, if they have a day off, would be the Dodgers. Not that because I'm a bandwagon, but my dad has been, a fan of the Dodgers since the 50s. He lived in Hawaii and LA when he was a kid, and obviously spending that time in Los Angeles in the Sandy Koufax era, to pay a little homage, to my dad. But if there's other matchups that are on other than the Dodgers and the Mariners, if both those teams have a day off, yeah, I will be doing some other matchups this season. I don't know how many, but there will be a few sprinkled in. Top of the third, 7-1 Tigers. 2 outs, 1-1 count to Riley Green with a runner at second. And it's been an absolutely a disaster here for the Mariners. Emerson Hancock, our worst pitcher, only in the lineup in the starting rotation because George Kirby was hurt. And obviously, Luis Castillo isn't really that trustworthy either. But after seeing what Hancock did today, you can definitely have a lot more confidence in guys like Castillo, Kirby when he comes back from the shoulder, Miller, Wu, and obviously Gilbert. But it looks like Gilbert and Wu are our best pitchers right now by far. And obviously, when Kirby comes back, as long as the shoulder isn't hurting him, that'll be our best three. And I like Miller over Castillo, but man, Hancock is some shit. Top of the third, 7-1 Tigers. 1-2 count with a runner at second with 2 outs. Let's get out of this fucking inning. One-two pitch. Chop towards first base, foul. Count remains 1-2. Now, hopefully he doesn't slip in the shower on that surgically repaired ankle and re-aggravated the injury there. So hopefully he'll be okay. And then obviously, Mookie had that illness and dropped like 15, 20 pounds. So, but again, they've been finding ways to win games on a crazy rate. Got him! I'm not sure if that was really strike 3, but we'll take it. Nice job, Colin. Go to the bottom of the third inning. We're only down 6 runs, huh? Nice job, Colin. You gave up 1, but, could have been worse. See who's up next for the Mariners. Next up for the Mariners, leading off this inning for the first time in the game, shortstop J.P. Crawford. Batting second, right fielder 0 for 1, Victor Robles. Maybe drop the bunt down. Let's get something going. And batting third, center fielder Julio Rodriguez. I mean, I can see it. I mean, especially if you're like a multimillionaire and you got one of those like really huge showers, big open space. You got like the, top of the line nozzle that, sprays out, water in all kinds of directions, and obviously, once you're ready to dry off, you take a wrong step and, if the ankle is already kind of weak and it's surgically repaired and you just kind of slip, on a little bit of a, of a wet spot, boom, and he could definitely fall down and tweak it and whatnot. So it's not the first time that we've heard guys, fall down the stairs or slip in the shower, even though it kind of sounds like a joke, like it's comical. Like, they didn't really fall down the stairs or fall in the shower, did they? But, I mean, it does happen. I mean, it's not just, elderly men and women, trying to call for help. I've fallen and I can't get up, like back in the 80s and 90s and whatnot. So, it happens, but hopefully he'll be okay. Well, they played the Yankees, and they're using, not every player is using a tornado bat, but obviously the tornado bat is working, and Jazz Chisholm, Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger, some of the guys they brought in new last year at the end, Jazz, and then Goldschmidt, and obviously Bellinger this year. Judge is always raking. So I think for the Brewers, they're not as bad, as the start. We up into today's, beginning morning games, we had 4 teams that didn't have a win, including the Tigers. The Braves were there, as well as the Brewers and one other team. So, sometimes if you end up playing the Dodgers or the fucking, Yankees or the Padres, the Braves, you play a really good team to start off the year. Sometimes shit happens. And then obviously Double E, Elliott's favorite player, or one of his favorite players besides Yu Darvish, that left the Padres, that went to the Braves, Jurickson Profar, got pinched for PEDs and is out for 80 games. And I know that bothered him a little bit, but I told him at least it wasn't, him on the Padres. That would make it worse. But still, when you have a favorite player and they get pinched for PEDs, whether it was on purpose, on a supplement, or it was an accident, you never really know. But 80 games and a lot of lost potential for the Braves, and giving Profar all that money, that's tough. There we go. Go, baby, go. Crawford to third. Yeah, baby. Here we go. Crawford to third. Robles with a nice little hard hit baseball there towards that third base line. Here we go. JP Crawford to the hit. Okay. Victor Robles on base. Okay. Next up, Rodriguez. And now if he hits a homer here, right, then we're in business. It'll be 7-4. We just got to try to just, cut into the lead any way that we can. Not saying that he will, but hell, at this point, I'll just take a fucking base hit RBI. Yeah, I've seen the Big Mitt meme too. Oh, really? They said that he can't play in the postseason? Ouch. That's tough. There we go. 7-2. Tigers. There we go. We just got to find ways to chip into the lead any way that we can. And let's be real, there's been a lot of games in that athletic series where we didn't even get 1 or 2 runs until after the 6th inning. So, to be able to get 2 runs by the 3rd, that's good. A nice ground ball there by Julio, and they had no throw at home. Julio needs to run faster to first. That pisses me off. He runs lazy to first. If you ever want to be an all-star, if you ever want to be a superstar, if you ever want to be a fucking Hall of Famer, run hard to first every single time. Like, why do you half-ass it to first? Like, if you actually run full speed, more times than not on some of these, 50-50 plays, he would be safe. It's not like the guy is slow, It's not like the guy's rowdy Tellez. Why are you running like you're rowdy? Run like you're fucking Julio. Christ. Pisses me off, man. I hate seeing laziness. Can't we have guys that try hard? Last year, at least Luke Raley would run hard no matter what, and there would be plays that he would run it out. But again, Randy, lazy, right? Julio running to first, lazy. Randy in the outfield sometimes, lazy. What the fuck is up with the laziness? You're professionals. This isn't the goddamn NBA where you're entitled and you have load management and you just said, fuck it. This is the MLB. Play like it. Golly. But at least we're at 7-2. So at least I'm happy that Julio got that hit so we could actually bring home JP. But he could have been safe at first. Why are you, and again, if you got an ankle, toe, if you got a calf or an Achilles that, that's kind of sore, I get it. Then if you're going to be a little cautious about it, fine. But if you're healthy, run hard. Job on the mound, 7-2 Tigers, bottom of the 3rd, 1 out, 3-1 count with a runner at second. Now Raleigh in the box. Takes a strike. Count now is full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. I mean, somebody's got to point out these little mistakes, because I think a lot of other content creators and people that are watching the game, these little subtle little mistakes that some people don't notice. I notice everything. I got fucking, I'm on it. I'm looking at every single, person. I'm looking at body language. I'm looking at vibe, how they're talking to each other. I'm looking at effort, and I need to see players play with effort throughout the whole game. 3-2 pitch, Cal, line drive. Torkelson, wild throw. And Robles the third. I don't know how the hell that was caught. What a defensive gem there by Torque. Cal fucking scorched that shit. Great play by Torkelson. Next up, Randy Arozarena came up to be our hero, so to speak, so far in this game with a homer. Can you do it again? Multi-homer game for Randy would be dope. But at this point, we'll just take an RBI. Yeah, I was seeing the money was close to $6 million. That is correct. You're on it. Bottom of the third, 7-2 Tigers. Runner at third, 2 outs, 1-0 pitch. Pitch is high and in the zone for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike to Randy Arozarena. 219 average, 20 homers, and 60 ribbies last year, but he's better than that. STL with a tour. Pitches inside, 2 balls and 1 strike. What's good, brother? How are you? Stacks on stacks, racks on racks. Little Cactus Jack, bang, bang. Let me know what you want to do photo-wise. You got a Cardinal you want to be able to shout out? You guys have been starting off the season pretty well. Randy crushes that one, foul. Yeah, all of us here on the West Coast, we're keeping up with what's going on with Boston and Devers. Yeah, tough. I sent a crazy stat, to reflect, based on the Devers struggles and whatnot. In 1995, Tony Gwynn, one of the best players ever, had 15 strikeouts and 585 at-bats. In 2025, Devers has 15 strikeouts and 19 at-bats. So it shows you there is a difference. And it's not like Devers is normally this bad, but, benching him isn't going to make it any better, and Randy gets a walk. But I feel like certain people, don't realize how good some of the players were. Rod Carew, Ichiro, Tony Gwynn. Even Luis Ariz is struggling this year, and obviously that was kind of an uncommon thing. His numbers are close to what Devers is at, but again, I feel that they will bounce back at some point, especially Luis Ariz, because he is the best modern day hitter. At least he has been the last 3-4 years, and hopefully he'll be able to turn it around like Devers. But yeah, that's tough when you end up struggling on that type of level. Those are kind of like Mariner type of numbers. For like that would be something a Mariner player would do, not someone in Boston. But hopefully things will get better for you, Judah. Pitch right down the middle for a strike from Job to Jorge Polanco. Well, it's not like the whole team is using them, It's like half of the starting lineup is using them, and if it's putting the Wood in a place as Job tags first instead of less, where it would be near your hands, towards the bottom of the bat, and a little bit more Wood in the sweet spot. At the end of the day, it's gonna make the bat feel a little bit different in your hands, and it might even be like harder to swing. But the bottom line is, swinging a bat and hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports. So just because you have this bat doesn't mean that you're going to turn into a superstar. You actually have to be a good hitter on top of that. But I don't think it's not like it's a cork bat. It's not like it's aluminum. If Aaron Judge doesn't use one, but you've seen Jazz Chisholm use it, has had success early on. Wells and Bellinger, and a few of these guys are using it, but it's not the whole team. But again, it's not just the Yankees. And if you got someone intelligent that fucking went to MIT, what does that say about any other organization? Get some smarter people in the building, and then maybe they could come up with something smart like that for their team. And again, this is not going to be something that's a Yankee exclusive. There's going to be other teams that are going to be able to use this bat if they choose to. So again, but just because you get this bat doesn't mean everyone's going to be hitting 450 homers. So, it definitely will help some, but for others, it's not going to help them. Yeah, I do my research, so I dig into everything. I was under the assumption, like everyone else, when I saw the bat, I was like, oh, okay. Now the whole team is using them. 32 runs and a bajillion home runs. In the first 2 games, where everyone else is struggling to even get a fucking hit, and here they are with these torpedo bats. Everyone's using them, and they got like 15 homers in 2 games, and they got like 32, 33 runs. Like, what the hell's going on here? But you got to dig a little bit deeper, to see like who actually is using them. And Aaron Judge, he doesn't need to use one. He's just fucking talented. Doesn't need it. But obviously, for some of these other people, it definitely will help. And we've already seen some improvement in that lineup. So. All right, top of the 4th, 7-2 Tigers popped up, and that one is fading foul. Nat Man in the building. What's good? Torkelson crushes that one foul behind in the count 0-2. Yeah, you know what? I know for a lot of Mariner fans, they dread seeing Skubal. I love watching him. I'm just a fan of greatness. And of course, when he plays anybody, 9 times out of 10, he's going to fuck you up. It doesn't matter if you're playing the Mariners or the Dodgers. Skubal, to me, you could argue is the best pitcher in the game. And again, you had Skubal, you had Skeens, and you had Sale, the 3 S's. And we'll see what guys end up being the best this year. Crochet and a few of these other guys that have, switched teams. We'll see if they can improve. But, Skeens, is going to be great. And, again, Skubal, for me, if I had to choose one lefty in the entire league, it would be Skubal. And if I had to take one righty that's not on the Mariners, it would be Skeens. But again, I always look forward to the opportunity. And I know more times than not, it's going to be bad for us, great for guys like Kevin and obviously Brandy there, big Tiger fans, and MSU, who's a Tiger fan that is in the room a lot as well. But it's a chance to see one of the greats, and maybe we can be that team, at one point this season that actually gets a dub on him. He's not going to lose very often, but again, it's definitely going to raise the bar, and you want to be able to see where your team is at against the best in the world. So, for me, I don't really fear it. I think it's more of a challenge and an opportunity, but also knowing that, yeah, he's going to fuck up everyone. I mean, he can even do that to the Dodgers. So, he's a special player, and I always like seeing greatness. Top of the 4th, 7-2 Tigers. Nobody on, nobody out. 3-2 pitch. Torkelson is working it. And a great story for him. Highly touted, player coming up into the system, ends up going down to AAA, mental breakdown, with confidence and swagger, working his way back up, and also having some injuries to guys like Parker Meadows and a few others to get the opportunity for solidifying a spot. And nice to be able to see him work his way back into the starting lineup, and hopefully we will never see him back in AAA. Good for Torque. Three-two pitch. Popped up. And fading foul. Yeah, Final Four should be fun, man. Definitely gets interesting with all number 1 seeds, which hasn't happened since 2008. So it's not something that typically happens. Usually you'll have like a 2 or a 3 in there, or an occasional, a 4 to 8 seed that squeaks in somehow, some way. Popped up, fading foul. Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, Skubal is so good. I mean, I don't think it really is going to matter if it's going to be early in the season or late. I think he's going to be amazing throughout the whole year. Popped up. Back. Randy is there. Finally get out of that. One away. Nice at-bat there for Torque, even though I didn't lead to anything. Really worked the count. Next up is second baseman Colt Keith. And I'm a little disappointed that Parker Meadows had the nerve issue, because I was really looking forward to putting him on the thumb and watching him play. You know, he was one of the breakout guys last year, and I know Tiger fans are really missing him, and he was actually one of my favorite players to watch on the Tigers last year. And obviously doing quite a few games with the Mariners and Tigers, you start to embrace this new, talent that's coming into the league. But once he ends up coming back and hopefully the nerve issue is settled, I can't wait to be able to see Parker Meadows. Snyder, 1-0 pitch to Keith. That one is fouled off towards third base. 1 ball and 1 strike. We're at 27. 73 to go to hit the goal. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help your boy out. I need therapy after this game. All the donos will go towards therapy. Keith crushes that one all the way back to the wall. Robles out of position. And nice throw. Safe at second. Holy hell. I didn't anticipate the defense and the bullpen being so shitty this year at the beginning of the year. All right, we're at 22 likes. We need 8 more to get to 30. Let's go, baby. I mean, it was a deep throw by Robles, but you're way out of position. What? You're almost like next to Julio. Like, what are you doing over there? You guys talking? You having a conversation? Right? You doing handshakes over there? Coming up with celebrations? Like, go over to the position where you need to be. Way out of position there. If he was in position, that could have been possibly an out. Because I don't know what's going on with the Mariners, in this particular, matchup with Detroit. It seems like we're so out of focus. With the A's, we were focused, even though we were having a hard time, but today it's like everything. It's like when they say it rains, it pours. It definitely is today. Unexcusable mistakes, like little things that you're supposed to just normally do, And again, if you normally can't hit, you can't defend, you can't pitch, that leads to a big L. Hopefully tomorrow will be better for us. You lost to the Angels, but you guys started off strong, so you already knew at some point that you were going to lose, but at least, for your Cardinals, you didn't lose 5-0. So it always stinks when you end up losing to a team that, is going to be a bottom feeder more than likely like the Angels, right? But again, think about the last few years on this channel and think about, how frustrated you were as a Cardinal fan. I remember, and there would be times where we would only be like halfway through the season and you were pretty much over the team. And it gets tough, sometimes seeing a team just continuously not living up to their potential. So tough one, today, but hopefully they'll bounce back tomorrow. But it was an extra innings. It's not like you guys, gave up, but they ended up winning 5-4 in 10. And it looks like Scott hit the sacrifice, fly to right, and then, oh man, tough. Oh, that's tough. But at least Newbart and Donovan homered. And obviously it looks like, not letting go Nolan, like, that was kind of one of the things after Goldschmidt, decided to end up taking his services elsewhere and whatnot. But at least you guys are off to a good start. See, exactly. Over 10 hits, you got to look at the positive of things. There's losses and there's bad losses, but you want to see effort. At the end of the day, an L is an L, and a dub is a dub. But again, if you, are fighting all the way to the end, that's a good sign for tomorrow where you're going to have an opportunity to get revenge. Top of the fourth, 7-2 Tigers. After the Tigers got 6 runs in the first inning. Emerson Hancock, terrible. Then we brought in Taylor Saucedo, terrible. And we've only given up 1 run since. And we've gotten 2 ourselves. We just need to hold them to 7 the rest of the game, which is probably unlikely. And we have to have one of those quote-unquote good innings where we get 1 to 3 runs. And hopefully that happens within the next 1 to 3 innings. And then if that does happen and we can get it to 7-5 by the time it gets to the 8th inning, we'll have a very small percentage chance to, cut into the lead, so to speak. Now we got Vargas on the mound, and the whole pitching has been fucked now because obviously Emerson Hancock, they were hoping that he would go 6 innings. He didn't even last an inning. So it really kind of ruins the whole pen and the opportunities. But I'm hoping that Durangelo, will get a chance pitching from the left side and the right side because obviously our, pen is terrible. Might as well take a chance on a rookie. Can't be any worse than the guys that we've been playing. And he can pitch left-handed and right-handed, like the only pitcher in MLB that can do that. Throw to first, 2 away. I don't want to say that the Brewers are terrible because they played the Yankees. Anybody that played a good team in the first, 3 to 4 games, like the Braves didn't have a win because they played the Padres. If the Brewers played the Yankees and they used the fucking torpedo bats, what are you going to do? Again, anyone, like imagine if that was you, if the Cardinals ended up, so it's like, I don't feel that, it's too early to say, they're terrible. Let's see them play against a few other teams, and then let's see, how they look against teams that are good, teams that are in the middle of the pack, and teams at the bottom. And then if they are, across the board bad, then yeah, they're bad, but I don't think we can judge a team based off of first series. First pitch is outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. But I know that in the division, you guys have beef with a lot of the teams in the division. And obviously seeing the Brewers suck, obviously for Cardinal fans, they love that. So I get it. It's just like if we would see the Astros or the Rangers struggle. We'd love that. We don't really have beef with the Angels. Well, we do. I guess maybe not so much with the Athletics, but the Angels, we usually have beef with them, but they're not a good team, so it's not the same without Trout and Ohtani anymore. They don't want to fight us anymore. They're just, kind of bad. And then obviously the Rangers and the Astros, we always look forward to, going face-to-face with them, so. Oh, holy hell. It goes from 7-2 to 8-2. I need some therapy. Got Vargas on the mound. Pitches outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Yeah, and it also doesn't help that Jerkson Profar got PEDs for 80 games, and that was a guy that you paid a lot of money, to come in to play great like he did for the Padres last year. And Robles, great diving attempt off the 1 hopper, but then fumbles the bag again and drops the baseball. 8-2 Tigers. I don't know what the hell is going on. I've never seen so many subtle mistakes in a game. It's like when they went up 6-0, everyone on the team turned into a bunch of Emerson Hancocks. I mean, I get it if one guy is bad, but that doesn't mean everyone's got to be bad. It's like I'm watching a goddamn NBA game with no defense. Pitches inside, 1-0 count. Twelve hits tonight. Fuck. Little chopper. Vargas, little flip to railing. And we finally get out of the inning, but the damage is done. 8-2 Tigers. Mental donos for sure. All right, let's see who's up next for the Mariners. Hopefully we can get a run, preferably more than one, but let's just crawl before we walk. Next up for the Mariners, 0-for-0 with a base on ball. 6-hole hitter, first baseman Luke Raley. Batting second, 0-for-1, DHing Rowdy Tellez. And batting third, 0-for-1, second baseman Ryan Bliss. The Tigers have already gone through their lineup a billion times. We're just getting our guys in their second at-bat. Back. Gone. Oh my, fresh out of the commercial break. Luke Rayleigh. There we go. Okay. Yeah, you got to talk it into existence sometimes, right? Things look bleak. Things look bad. Things look terrible, right? And then fresh off the break, Luke Rayleigh decides to fucking nuke it. It's kind of sad that this has, been probably one of the better starts, to a game as far as runs for us. But Luke crushed the fuck out of that baseball. There we go. Nice job, Nuke. Yes, sir. 8-3 Tigers. It's like a young lady got that baseball from Luke Rayleigh in the outfield. Solo dinger. First of the year, Luke Rayleigh. Nice job. I mean, 8-3 is a hell of a lot better than 8-0. I mean, we've had some real, depressing, type of games in the past, but next up is Rowdy Tellez. Oh, 1 pitch. Pitch is inside. 1 ball and 1 strike to Rowdy Tellez. Thank you. Appreciate that. $3 holla to get to an even number. Thank you. Let me know what other player you want to represent for your Cardinals. And that is a strikeout for Rowdy Tellez there by Job. 1 away. Appreciate you. $3 holla. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks, little cactus jack. Bang, bang. Thank you so much. We're at 30, 70 to go. Nice home run ball by that young female there. She'll love that. That'll be a great souvenir. Typically, you see dudes getting the foul balls and the home run balls. It's pretty rare where you see a grandma or a young lady, getting one. Good for her. She got some good hands. Looked like she was right next to her boyfriend there, and she got it. Next up is Ryan Bliss. Nothing like getting a home run ball or a foul ball at a baseball game. It changes your life forever. It really does. Pitch is inside. 2 balls and 1 strike. Ryan Bliss. Nice. We'll get some Aaron Judge. Sounds good. Pitch is outside. 3 balls and 1 strike to Ryan Bliss. And that's a walk. We get one more squeezed in here. Appreciate you. Next up is J.P. Crawford. Throw to first to try to tag out Bliss. Safe. I mean, for me, even if, some people aren't Yankee fans or Dodger fans, that's fine. But Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge are must-see TV. They're great for the sport. Every sport is going to have superstars, and they're just really fun to watch. You just never really know what they're going to do on a daily basis, and I really enjoy calling games when we play them, or seeing the nightly highlight reel of them doing something incredible that most players can't do. I mean, besides the guys that did steroids back in the day in the 80s and 90s, or someone clean like Ken Griffey Jr. Bottom of the 4th, 8-3 Tigers. Runner at first. Ryan Bliss with the walk with 1 out. 0-2 count from J.P. Crawford to Jackson Jobe. Making his first professional start. And obviously getting 6 runs of run support in the first inning definitely gave him a lot of confidence. Pitch is outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Seven likes to 30. Let's get there, baby. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Captain's going to get us to 30. Pitch is outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Jacob in the building. What's good? Come on, JP. And we're at 30, 70 to go. 2-2 pitch. JP pops it up. Should be a routine play in foul territory. Nice two-handed grab there. 2 away. Nice job by Dylan Dingla there at catcher. And next up for the Mariners, right fielder, Victor Robles. This would be a good time to drop down the bunt, but again, his hand placement has been a little suspect a few times, and I don't want him to break his wrist or break his hand, but dropping a bunt down sometime between the 4th and 6th inning would be ideal. But I mean, he has been getting pretty good contact, but that's the reason why you would want to do it, because they just assume that you're going to be, swinging for the moon. And then if you drop down the bunt, you can move JP over or Bliss over, and then have guys at 1st and 2nd. Wild throw at 1st, maybe 2nd and 3rd. 1-0 pitch. Pitch is outside, 2-0 count. Maybe we'll get a walk here. I mean, best case scenario, home run, or an RBI. So we just need to kind of chip away at this lead. Chip away. 8-3, 8-4, 8-5, and just try to get it within 2 runs by the 8th. 8-6. But that's obviously wishful thinking, holding them to only 8. At this point, it feels like they might get to 10, by the time the game is up, unless things really turn around. They're pacing for 16 runs. 2-0 pitch. Oh, Victor did try the bunt. My ESP is just on point. I feel like I watch this team so much, but I don't know if they'll listen to my ESP, but I have an idea in my brain, when would be a good time and who to do it. And I haven't mentioned bunt all day until now, and he did attempt it there. So at least he's getting my text messages. 3-1 count from Jobe to Victor. My ESP is strong. Three-one pitch. Hard hit towards third base. Foul. The only hitter over 300 in 2024, Victor Robles. Fastest player in Seattle history to get 30 steals in a season, 76 games. And, he was playing like an all-star for a good chunk of the year last year for us. 3-2 pitch. Popped up. And foul. Count remains full. Three-two pitch. Robles crushes that one foul again. Fighting it. Count remains full. Bottom of the 4th, 8-3 Tigers, 6 runs in the first inning, and our pitcher went to the showers. Then they brought in our worst bullpen guy, Taylor Saucedo. He wasn't any better. Slightly better, but still shitty. And another foul ball towards third base. Count remains full, 3-2. But at least we're able to get some production. A lot of times, we would be sitting at 8-0 right now. So to be at 3 with Randy Arozarena getting a home run to get us going is a nice thing to see for this series. Big swing and a miss, and Jobe gets Victor Robles. And that's the end of the 4th inning. We leave a stranded runner, and let's go to the top of the 5th. In the top of the 5th, leading off 1 for 2 with 2 RBIs, third baseman Javier Baez. Batting second, 1 for 1 with 2 runs and 2 base on balls, Justin Henry Malloy. And batting third, 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs, Gary Carpenter, the left fielder. Let's go M's. And once Job goes out, we'll see how it goes. But again, we have a fantastic way of making everyone look good on the other team, pitching-wise. Let's go M's. Have the faith. Yeah, the crowd wasn't good, but I did get goosebumps, because they obviously copied the other chant, Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes. Like when you hear, a big arena chant that, and you can see the emotion that it gives not only to Cody Rhodes himself, but to the fans, it kind of gives you goosebumps because not everyone, they did it for EO Sky as well, but it wasn't really the same kind of vibe. They saw EO Sky, EO, like they can do it for other wrestlers depending on if they have, the syllables in the name to do it. But the Cody Rhodes, like that one is nice. And again, when you get the whole building doing it, it definitely it makes you feel a certain type of way, and you get a little emotional when you hear it. And I enjoyed the back and forth with Cena. Little flip, one away. But I agree, the crowd was the lamest out of everyone in the European tour. The London crowd was bad. It wasn't good. Besides a few moments throughout the show, but overall it wasn't good. It felt like an American crowd, if we're being honest. It felt like, somewhere we've been on a regular basis, so they kind of took it for granted. Baez is out. Next up is Justin Henry Malloy. Top of the fifth, 8-3 Tigers. Nobody on, 1 out. 1-0 pitch from Vargas to Malloy. Malloy, big swing and a miss, 1 ball and 1 strike. 1 for 1 with a double, 2 walks and 2 runs for Justin Henry Malloy. One pitch. Pitch in the zone for a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes. One-two pitch. Pitch is low and at the knees. 2 balls and 2 strikes. We're at 30, 70 to go. Yeah, that's why I brought up Rise earlier in the conversation today when we were talking about Devers, because he was on a slump as well. But again, I know that he'll bounce back, but him and Devers are struggling. But the difference is the Rise is actually a pure hitter, just kind of bad luck. With Devers, it may take longer for him to get going, because I think that Arise is a little bit more mentally strong. It's kind of bad luck for him to start off the year. Yeah, but pretty crazy to think that they're 4-0 against the Braves and he's 0-16, right? I think at the last time when I mentioned the stat, I think he was like 0 for 12. So it wasn't, before today's game or whatever. So. Carpenter popped up all the way back to the warning track in the dirt. And Robles is there. Go to the bottom of the 5th. We're down by 5. Reflect with a 5er. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks. Little Cactus Jack. Bang, bang. Thank you so much. What do you want to see for a photo? Or 2 or 3 or 4? We're at 35. 65 to go. I definitely do a lot of research. You know, I'm researching Mariners. I'm researching the farm. You know, I'm researching all the teams and what's going on. You know, headline stories like torpedo bats and other things as well. And you know, me and Reflect usually have a nice little back and forth. You know, you never know what type of information that we might find. I mean, you know, for other people they may be sleeping, but it may be like midnight, and me and Reflect are up, and we might be exchanging messages on MLB stats and analytics. You know, and you never know what new stat or what new thing might be approaching, you know, the MLB newsroom here at the NWSF. 3 more likes to 30. Let's get there. Bang, bang. Next up for the Mariners, 0 for 2, center fielder Julio Rodriguez. Batting second, catcher Big Dumper, Cal Raleigh. And batting third, the guy that got us off the schneid with a homer today, left fielder Randy Arozarena. Let's go, baby. I need some electricity, baby. It might be the first time in Arise's career that he started off that slow. I've never heard him slump like that, but at least they're 4-0. I mean, they're winning without him, so. And at least that Profar is not on the Padres anymore, so they don't get hit with that, 80-game suspension and whatnot. But I feel bad for Double E because that's like one of his favorites, and again, he said it was a mistake, but sometimes you can't. That's what every player says, and me and Double E were going over that as well. Did you take an illegal supplement on purpose, or was it a true accident? And you got to think, some of them are accidents, but some are on purpose, and you just get caught. Or if you are dumb enough to, drink or eat things and someone else is giving them to you like a trainer and you're not asking questions, then sometimes people get in trouble that way too. It's your responsibility as a professional to make sure you understand what's going in your body, for supplements, food and drink, and, what's legal and what's not. So, especially if it can cost you, $6, $7, $8 million and half the season, and then you can't even play in the postseason if they make it. Pitch is outside. 2 balls and 1 strike to Julio Rodriguez. Julio cracks the bat. Whoa! Go, Julio, go. McKinstry couldn't find that ball. Diving attempt where he disappeared from the camera view, and Julio gets a triple. Wow. That was a hell of an effort, though, by McKinstry. I mean, he laid Superman, and we couldn't even see him because the camera was there, and he caught it, hit the wall, and then he lost it, and it went underneath the mat. And he was looking around, and that was the extra time that Julio needed. And at least Julio ran hard that time, We were bitching at him and moaning that he didn't run hard to first at the last at-bat. He runs hard there and gets a triple. And he almost caught that ball. It goes off the mat, off his knee, underneath the actual mat there. And then he got up and said, "Where's the ball?" And we'll take a mistake. But that was a good effort by McKinstry, but we'll take it. Next up is Big Dumper, Cal Raleigh. Julio with a triple. Let's go. We got to get at least a run here in this inning. Chip away, chip away, chip away. Chips ahoy. Big swing and a miss behind the count 0-2. Yeah. That's the damn truth. It isn't a ballpark that you normally can get triples at. That's 100% true. 0-2 pitch. Pitch is inside at the knees to Cal Raleigh. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Good job, Julio. I got the Julio jersey on today. One-two pitch. And right in the zone, right on the line. And let's look at the replay to see. Yeah, barely. And that's a punch out. Next up is Randy Arozarena. Bottom of the fifth, 8-3 Tigers, 1 out. Julio at third. And hopefully we can at least get 1. I don't need to get super greedy and say we're going to get 2 or 3 or 4. Let's just get 1, and then if we get 1 and we still have 1 out, let's try to go for another. But, beggars can't be choosers, especially when you're down 8-3 and you give up 6 in the first. Pitch right down the middle for Randy. Behind in the count 0-2. Pitches outside. Good eye. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Chops that one foul. Count remains 1-2. One-two pitch. Chop foul. Go, Randy. Polo up next. 1-2 pitch. He's fighting it. Fading foul. Would love to see Randy get a multi-homer game, but, we don't got too many guys on the roster that can hit 2 home runs in a game. We got a couple, but maybe later in the game or on the 8th, maybe Randy can get another one. 1-2. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Randy. 2 away. Next up for the Mariners, third baseman Jorge Polanco. Come on, Polo. Go, baby. First pitch inside, 1-0 count. 8-3 Detroit. Bottom of the fifth, runner at third, Julio, with 2 outs. In the zone for a strike, 1 ball and 1 strike to Polo. One pitch from Hannafy to Jorge Polanco. Oh, there we go, Polo. There we go. Hard hit all the way back to the wall. McKinstry, no go. Julio comes home. Here we go. 8-4 Tigers. There we go. You ask and you shall receive. Here we go. If we just didn't give up 6 runs in the first inning, we could actually have made this a pretty close game, but we're trying to get it to that point. There we go. Nice job, Polo. You can't fucking defend and play third base, but at least you're hitting for us. Nice job. Next up, first baseman Luke Raley, but we might have a pitching change, and I assume we will. Yep, Hannafy is done. They have a pitching change. Now, if Luke can go yard, right, we might be cooking here. Nice job, Polo. I didn't think I would ever say that in 2024, but Polo has been the savior. Wouldn't think I would have said that in 2025 either. Now if we could just get Garv up to the Polo level, but again, all of these things could have been prevented if we just would have kept Eugenio Suarez. We could have had more hits, more home runs, and great defense at third. So, but I told y'all, I felt, it's still more than likely that we're going to lose this game. Duh. When you get down 6-0. Right? When you have your starting pitcher filling in for George Kirby, so he ends up getting, an opportunity. But, this is a guy that probably should go down to AAA, and we should be looking for someone else. Either someone else, in the pen, to start, like a Colin Snyder temporarily, or like a Troy Taylor when he's healthy. Like, I get it. Some guys are like, bullpen guys, but I mean, Hancock isn't it. Like, if we're going to have another guy be like the sixth guy, we got to find someone better, because we don't really trust Castillo, and he's the 5, but he's definitely levels above. Now, last year, Hancock and Castillo were pretty close to each other, even though Castillo was the better player. But there was games where they both were like terrible, right? But this year, man, I mean, it wouldn't really hurt my feelings if we don't see Hancock the rest of the year, but we have limited space, and whatnot for players. So I just can't wait for Troy Taylor and George Kirby to come back. Please, we need you. I mean, hell, if you're going to give up 6 runs, might as well have a guy like Durangelo get a shot, see what he can do. I don't think he'd give up 6. He can pitch from the left side and the right side, and it would be exciting. It'd be a fan favorite thing. Nice job, Polo. Two balls and 2 strikes here to Luke Raley. Come on, Luke. Three balls and 2 strikes to Luke Raley. Okay, baby. We'll take a walk. There we go. Next up is Rowdy Tellez. Runners at first and second with 2 outs. Runners at first and second with 2 outs. One count to Rowdy Tellez. Come on, Rowdy. Pitch is low and out of the zone. 2 balls and 1 strike. Hell, Rowdy can take a walk. I don't know if he would, but let's see what kind of patience he has. Pitch is outside. 3-1 count. I mean, if he hit a home run here and got it to 8-7, we're cooking. We would probably win. If we ended up getting a big 3-run blast this inning, it would give us the momentum and the edge for the rest of the game since Job isn't pitching. Big swing and a miss behind the count, 3-2. Come on, Rowdy. Come on, baby. It's all gas, no brakes, right? Ah, damn it. Oh, that would have been amazing if he was able to step up and do something big for us right there. And ground ball, throw to first. I mean, it would have been crazy. That would have been like but again, remember, they said the last time that we were down 6-0, we went to the Astros in 2021. We came back and won 11-8. So, I mean, if you can get some late home runs and you get rallies where you can get 1 to 3 runs a couple times, after the 5th inning, you'll have a chance, but you just don't really know, defensively what you're going to look at. But at least it's not 8-0 and we've cut into the lead. 8-4 Tigers. Next up for the Tigers, 1 for 3 with a run, RBI, and 2 Ks, Riley Green. Batting second, 2 for 3 with a run, first baseman Spencer Torkelson. And batting third this inning in the top of the 6th, 1 for 1, 2 runs and 2 base on balls, second baseman Colt Keith. I like the effort, again, you have to always look at the positive of situations, I feel like a lot of times in life as well, a lot of shitty things happen to good people, not just bad people, right? But it's how you react to it. If you overreact and your emotions get the best of you, then you make the situation 1,000 times worse, right? If you end up, getting a flat tire, or someone ends up, stabbing your tire, and then you have a flat, it's a terrible thing, right? To have a flat, or to have someone go crazy and to, flatten your tire. But if you have the perspective and looking at it, well, they could have done it to 2, they could have done it to 3, or they could have done it to the whole fucking car. You always have to look at the bright side of a bad situation. And if you can live like that, your life will be much easier and you'll have more of a positive attitude moving forward. And I try to live my life that way when bad shit happens. I always think, okay, this sucks, but hey, it could be worse. So. I mean, they say, like they say, it's 10%, of what happens to you, 90% of how you react to it. So. First pitch low into the dirt. 1-0 count to Green from Vargas. They've been really riding Vargas here. Monty Python. Fantastic. Little Page Buckas. 2-0 count to Riley Green. Top of the 6th, 8-4 Tigers. Green, it's in play, fumbled the bag, flipped to first, and nice that they actually didn't run hard. That was like watching Julio go to first, and we'll take that. 1 away. Next up is first baseman Spencer Torkelson. Come on, M's. First pitch there was outside, 1-0 count. Top of the 6th, 8-4. Nobody on. 1-0 pitch. Little dribbler. Oh, we got that. Throw to first. Got him. There we go. 2 away. Bye-bye Green. Bye-bye Torque. Next up, Colt Keith. And it feels like we've gained a little bit of momentum. I know we're still down $1 billion, but it feels like, we have one more good inning, before the 8th, whether it's in the bottom of the 6th or the bottom of the 7th, and we can get it to 8-6, that we will have a legitimate shot to come back and win, or at least tie, and then get our heart broken and lose like 9-8 or something, but I like the effort. I mean, it's not often that we can get more than 4 runs, and I kind of had a feeling with Hancock on the mound that we would need, more than 4, but realistically probably more than 5. I didn't have any confidence in him today, and it obviously was much worse than even my wildest dreams could have imagined. But they've settled in, and after obviously the Hancock disaster and the Sauce disaster, the others, Snyder and Vargas, have actually done pretty good. Popped up by Keith. It's in play. Randy's there. He doesn't have to be lazy. There we go. 3 up, 3 down, baby. All right, let's go to the bottom of the 6th and get some runs, baby. Huh? Let's stay positive. Someone's got to be, right? I got to be the only positive guy on YouTube, social media-wise, running this team. Next up, 0 for 1 with a base on ball, second baseman, Ryan Bliss. Batting second, 0 for 1 with a run and a base on ball, J.P. Crawford. And batting third, 1 for 3 with a K, right fielder, Victor Robles. Let's go, M's. Oh, baby, baby, baby. And we're going to keep grinding it out with the Tigers. And then obviously tomorrow's game will be live at the same time, 6:40 against the Tigers. And then Wednesday, the game will be a little early. It'll be at 1:10. And that I think that's the Scooball game, right? Castillo versus Scooball. Oh, holy hell. Wish that was like Woo or something, but you know. And then Thursday we're off, so we'll figure out what we're going to do on Thursday. And then we get right back at it on Friday, and then we start a series against the Giants. And then after the Giants on the weekend, then we go into the Astros. So I'm very excited to kind of see where it goes, and I don't really know what we're going to be doing on Thursday if we end up doing another matchup, but there's only 5 games on Thursday. 3 of them are on early, so it's either doing Diamondbacks, Yankees, Reds, Brewers, or maybe the Blazer game. I don't know. We'll see. First pitch is a ball to Ryan Bliss, 1-0 count. Come on, Ryan. But I'm happy that we're here in baseball season, you know, and they play so many games. You know, it's like I don't even have to like, okay, what are we doing this day or that day? You know, it's like pretty much it's Mariners every day except one day during the week where they have, you know, a day off to travel if they have to go to another town or, you know, whatever the situation is, just a rest day. But that's why I love baseball. They're just, you know, every day you have a game, you know, and people don't realize that wears on you. No other sport plays 162 games in the regular season. NBA is 82, you know. College football, you know, you get with even, you know, playoffs, it's under 20. NFL, you know, you're looking, depending on how far you go, you know, close to that 20 range as well. And then obviously hockey is kind of similar numbers to the NBA, you know, but it's like you're getting double the amount of the, you know, number 2 spot. It's like NBA is 82, and then you have playoffs will end up being like over 100. But 162, and then if you add playoffs for the team that ends up winning the World Series, and depending on if you go 7-game series and whatnot, it's almost like 180 games or something if you end up, you know, going on that deep run. It's a lot, you know, a lot of wear and tear, and it's the hardest sport to play. You know, football and basketball are much easier. A lot of guys in, you know, hockey and basketball and football can't even hit a baseball. You know, but people can throw a football, catch a football, or make a basket, you know, but hitting a baseball, man, good luck. Bless strikes out, 1 away. Next up is J.P. Crawford. I mean, I think it really depends on how hardcore of a fan that you are, you know, of the thing. So, you know, for me, my 2 favorite teams that, you know, I love the most are the teams that are close to me that I can actually watch, with like the Ducks and the Mariners. But I have so much love for the Buccaneers, but obviously I've never been, and I want to go to a game, you know, at some point in Tampa before I die. But I don't know, fantasy football last year, and then the NFL and college football, like how it all played out, you know, with Oregon, and you know, I had fun watching Tampa, but just the whole, you know, referees kind of, you know, giving favoritism and this and that. And then, you know, the fantasy, you know, was just awful for me. It definitely ruined the season for me. You know, normally I have a lot more fun, you know, covering all the teams, you know, but man, that fantasy football really fucked with me, you know, and it kind of killed like my fun for the year. And even though I did enjoy the Ducks and I did enjoy the Buccaneers and I enjoyed watching other teams, but you know, I think it's because I just take shit so seriously, you know, and I want to do well. And I put in the time and the effort. And then when you put in the time and the effort and the energy, you know, and you have a good reputation, and then you just have this like one-off terrible year, some people can handle it, but, you know, I can't. You know, it's like if I didn't give a shit, then whatever. But, you know, when you do give a shit and you are working hard and it doesn't go in your favor, it hurts, you know. It's not like I'm an idiot, you know, and I don't know what I'm talking about, you know, but again, sometimes, you know, shit happens in sports, right? But I hope that I don't have a fantasy year like that ever again. And, you know, I still feel, even though a few months have passed since the NFL ended, that I should probably take at least a year off, you know, before I do it again, you know, but the shitty thing for me is I love it. I don't do fantasy baseball or hockey or basketball, you know, like I love fantasy football, but God, last year, I mean, it kind of ruined it for me. But I have myself to blame. Sometimes it's bad luck. But again, if you draft bad, and then you get unlucky with injuries, sometimes you end up having an awful season. And that was what happened to me. But maybe it was a good thing that happened, like a little reality check. Things are not always going to go your way, right? And again, sometimes you have to, have something bad happen to you to realize that it's not going to be just peaches and cream every year for the rest of my life. So, even though it was like upsetting, I'm kind of glad it happened in a certain way. But it definitely made it a little bit miserable for me for a good chunk of the year. Popped up, 2 away. Yeah. Well, they do have legal gambling here in Oregon where you can do like DraftKings, and I almost signed up for an account. I don't have money to do it. I'm just trying to get my, basic bills paid, to the internet, the streaming fee, Paisley, I'm just trying to, do that. I don't have, extra money to play with, now if we end up getting, more heavy hitters that will support the channel and me and Paisley, then maybe, at some point I can do it. But, I was thinking about, doing like, the Thunder versus the Celtics, Thunder in 6, and then SGA winning the MVP, and then dropping like, $50 to $100. And then if that happens, then I can win a certain amount. Because the earlier that you do it, the more money you're going to make. The longer you wait, the less you're going to make and whatnot. But I ended up downloading the app, and I was almost going to do it. And then I decided, that, I don't know, maybe it's just like the juju about it or whatever. But I ended up deleting the app. But who knows? Maybe one of these days when finances get better from support on the channel. And it's not like I would be betting every day and become addicted. Like if I end up doing betting, I would do it like once or twice a year, and that's it. Like something that I feel that's going to happen, even though I feel that on certain things. And then maybe like National Tight End Day for the NFL, where I know I can pick, 5, 6, 7, 8 tight ends that are going to have a good chance, to score. But other than that, I'm not going to just do random, parlays or this and that. Like, I can't be like Judah betting, this day and betting a few days later. I can't be like that. So. I mean, even though the Joker's numbers, he should get the MVP, being top 5 in multiple categories, which you haven't really seen before. But again, once you give an MVP to a certain guy, sometimes they look towards the guy that's on like the number 1 team. And, even though the Joker is more deserving, the only stat that he doesn't really lead is like points and like 50-point games and average. But, if the Thunder beat the Celtics in 6 and SGA becomes the MVP, that there could be some money there. I mean, even if I was rich, I wouldn't bet every day. I don't think it's not a good thing to get yourself into that. Even the smartest people are going to be not telling you all the truth, on how much money they've lost. So, yeah. Well, I'm not saying your bets are big, but I mean, you usually bet a couple times a week, right? Not saying it like in a negative way. It's just, some people have the funds to bet or they do small bets, but I just, I'm a little superstitious. But again, if anyone were to bet, it would be me, right? Like for all the time that I read and I watch film and, all the stuff that I cover, like if anyone were to bet and win, it should be someone like me, like someone that actually puts in the time and the energy, and, I'll do the due diligence. But even with that being said, I could still lose. But I feel that if I only do like 1 or 2 a year, that I could probably capitalize at least on one of those bets, if not 2, because I would be very selective. National Tight End Day or something that I think that's going to happen, like Thunder in 6 over the Celtics and SGA getting MVP. Next up is Julio Rodriguez. We're in the bottom of the 6, 8-4 Tigers. Runner at first with 2 outs, 2-2 count to Julio. Two. Julio crushes that one, fading foul. Yeah, the 2 biggest ones I think are available in Oregon and whatnot. So And there goes Julio. End of the 6th inning, 8-4 Tigers. Oh, congratulations. Yeah, and sometimes you have to find, things that will offset something else. So people that, sometimes, are, with the alcohol or the drugs and whatnot, then sometimes they have to tone it down and go to like gummies or something. But then if that isn't something, then, sometimes you just got to be able to find that alternate thing. We all have vices, but again, sometimes the best addictions are things that you wouldn't realize that would be an addiction, that would be positive, right? Like exercise. And that's my main addiction. Like I used to love to party and I would drink every day. I don't do that anymore. And, now I'm walking 5 miles a day, 7 days a week for the last 2 years. And like I said, I've never been an alcoholic. I feel that I can have a drink once a month, like when I go to a Mariner game or a Blazer game or go to an arcade with my friend, and I don't crave it, like the next day, or, it's kind of like I can handle myself on that regard, but every individual is a little bit different. And, sometimes, we go a little bit too crazy, and sometimes you got to hit the deep end to realize that you have a problem. And then once you realize you have a problem, that's the first step. And then you just have to be able to find other things that are positive. Like for me, exercise and diet change have been the biggest, changes in my life, as well as Paisley. Now, if I didn't have Paisley in my life on a day-to-day basis, the chances of me being able to have more depression or anxiety or bad days would skyrocket. But since I have Paisley, I exercise, I eat right, and I don't eat fast food, I don't drink, I don't do any of those things, that I feel that I've changed for the better. And again, it's been able to help me, on the channel, in my real life, and that love, and appreciation and gratitude that I have for Paisley and for you guys, it changed my life forever. And again, it's all about discipline and staying true to yourself. A lot of people say that they're going to do things, but then they give up, and the hardest thing to do is to keep up with something. But I promise you, if you start, working out, even if it's just slowly but surely, 20 minutes a day, a couple times a week, and then you start to build up like a tolerance, so to speak. And then you start getting like addicted to, exercising, losing weight, feeling better. And then you start being able to go longer, 20-minute walk, 30-minute walk. And then now I'm like a fucking insane person with Paisley, walking 5 miles a day, 7 days a week. But like I said, I look forward to it. It's not like I dread it. It's like I know that she needs, to get exercise, and, obviously she needs to go outside and shit and pee and sniff bushes and, and do all that. And, she's been a lifesaver for me. And, I highly encourage, people to, get out of their comfort zone, and again, you'll feel a lot better because you start to realize if you do eat fast food and you don't take care of your body, and then you start to take care of your body and you start eating healthy, right? You'll start rejecting that food, and you wonder why you feel like shit after eating food. Like it tastes good, but then right after you're lethargic, you feel like shit, or you have to go to the bathroom, and you're in there, like it's because of the food that you're eating. And again, once you start to eat healthy, you don't feel like that anymore. And it was like kind of a big life-changing moment for me, to realize, I love to go to Flavortown, but again, if it's going to make me feel like shit, after I eat it, it's not worth it. Plus, food is so expensive nowadays. Sometimes it's just better, to try to eat healthy. Like you were, able to go to fast food because you could get like a bean burrito for $1. So it was like you can get food that tastes good but not good for you for cheap. But now food is expensive, so you might as well eat healthy. But again, it's not going to necessarily be for everyone. But again, if you end up having discipline and you push yourself, trust me, you can make a difference. I mean, I'm living proof. I lost almost 100 pounds. This is the best I have felt, since high school. And I'm going to be 43 in a couple months. Like, it's just about effort, and finding things that, you can stick to. And if you can have those positive addictions in your life, it can turn your life around. And another reason why, my family has diabetes. So again, if I was going down that bad path, I would probably die. So again, I don't want to die. I want to be able to, live with Paisley, and I want to take care of her and give her a top 1% life. So You know, I see all these sad, fucking dog videos on my social media on dogs getting dumped and then rescued, and it's fucking emotional, and I want to make sure that Paisley understands how much I love her, and I want her to be able to have the best life. Every day a dog lives is like a week for us. One day for us is like a week to them. And if you have that perspective, you'll work harder. Facts. Top of the 7th, 8-4 Tigers. Runner at first with 2 outs. Baez popped up foul. Yeah. As long as it doesn't get to a point where it's a bad thing like the other things that you were trying to escape, But congratulations, man. But sometimes there's no shame in going to a group. Again, I think just being in denial and continuing to go down a bad path, it's recognizing that we're human. Everyone's got vices and we make mistakes. But then, it takes a real man and a real woman to look in the mirror and realize that you want to be better. Golly, base hit right in between 3 fucking outfielders. Holy hell. Bermuda Triangle Baez. Fucking A. Unbelievable. But congrats, bro. And congratulations to Sarah and Reflect on that route as well. But I feel like, if you ever had depression or anxiety, if you exercise, it releases hormones in your, body that are positive for anti-depression and anti anything kind of negative. It's just about, smelling that fresh air and moving your body. And then once you end up doing that, then the next step is eating healthy. And then once you combine those 2 things, I haven't had anxiety or depression in a long fucking time. And also a part of that is having Paisley as well. So it's having Paisley, exercising like a madman, eating healthy, and sticking to that every day. And I understand not everyone can do my pattern and be like me, but those are the tools, to be able to have dedication to a dog or a cat, exercise daily if you can, and then eat better. And if you do those things, your life will turn around a lot faster than you think, and then it's just about holding yourself accountable, which is the hardest thing to do in life. It's always easy to make excuses. It's hard to get the shit done, and of course there's maybe some days that I don't want to walk as far, but again, it's not about me, it's about my, my daughter, so to speak, in Paisley, it's about her. So it doesn't matter what I feel, it's about making sure that she feels good and she has the best life. I live my life for her 100%. So, and then a nice single there. And we have a 9-4 lead for the Tigers. Malloy reached to infield single to third. Next up is Gary Carpenter. Yeah, I was one of the lucky ones that I never got it. I think almost everyone that I know got it, but I was one of the lucky ones. I never got it. So, but I know some of y'all have got it and whatnot, or got it more than once. And yeah, I have read those studies as well. Reflect. Carpenter popped up. Yeah, and that's another thing too that I try to bring to the channel is I try to bring, leadership, and I try to bring, comfort where we actually have somewhere positive where we can talk, about our problems and what's going on in our life, good and bad. There's not very many channels, that the host is going to allow the people in the room to kind of, so to speak, take over the channel with photos and stories. and actually have the host listen and care and try to make other people, happy. Like a lot of times, when you see channels, it's about the host, whether they, realize it or not, but that's kind of how it is. You don't really see them going out of their way for a lot of people. Maybe they go out of their way for a couple, but not for like a lot of people. And I feel that this is a big thing that you totally get, that it's more than just sports, the sense of community. And I appreciate that you enjoy the voice. I was blessed with my mom and dad with the voice that I was able to get. And some people that host YouTube and different channels on social media, let's be real, some people have cringy voices and it's not a fun thing to listen to, but luckily we have a great community. I got a nice kind of soothing, calming voice is what people have told me. They said I've had a radio TV voice. That was before podcasts were a thing. And and I truly do care. I really do care about the well-being of the people in the room. And I know that not everyone is going to be able to follow the same steps that I'm in, but I just like to share some of the things that have helped me, because I used to party with the best of them. I used to do all of those things, and sometimes, you can relate with certain people on certain things. And, life isn't perfect, but again, it's about passion and it's about effort. And if you have passion and you have effort and, and you have the discipline, anybody can make their life better. It's just a matter of looking in the mirror and wanting to do so instead of making excuses on not why to do that, And everyone's in a different situation with physical health, mental health. Not everyone is the same. That's what makes everyone special. Everyone is different. But again, we definitely have a very amazing community here that I truly enjoy, every single one of y'all. And again, besides like the haters and the trolls that come in, we know what we do with those people. But, I really love being able to hear you guys win. I love being able to hear you guys succeed. And I feel for like a lot of people, when you hear people talk about good things in their life, some people that are jealous or haters, they say, well, as long as you're not doing better than me, that mentality. But for me, it's like, I love when I hear stories of people that are, doing good, even if that means doing better than me, or, on the same level or whatever, I like seeing people have success. I like rooting for people. I'm the type of person that will go and like people's posts on social media, instead of being like, oh, fuck that, and just keep scrolling. I like to be able to root for people to win. And I hope that every one of y'all ends up having the most love and success in your life. Bottom of the seventh, 9-4 Tigers. Little dribbler for Cal Raleigh. One away. Yeah, and I'm all about, consistency and routine. And again, that's another thing. If you end up having a positive routine, it definitely helps, being able to have a structure in your life. And I'm that way, and everyone has a different type of routine, that works for them. Some people write things down. Some people are more strong-willed to, keep up with things. There we go. Go, baby, go. Go, baby, go. Randy Rosarina with a double. Nice job, Randy. Homered, doubled, and a walk. Let's go. And again, I think that even though that, some of us, are in the United States, some of us are across the globe like Megan, but a lot of us, have a lot of the same, like, even though we may be different, but a lot of the regulars, we're really similar. Like if someone's in trouble, for a lot of us, if we could, we would help, we would give the shirt off our back, so to speak, if we could, and some people are not that way. And, and that's why, I've had to fucking eliminate, a lot of these, haters and trolls, even if they donate, because it's not about that. It's not about the money. Donos are important for me to continue to do my dream. But again, I don't want to be able to get donos from a negative person that brings the vibe down in the room. And then eventually people that I love and people that I respect don't want to be here anymore because I just allow all these people to be in the room just because I want more subs on my channel, and again, I will never be that way. I want to make sure that there's rules in place for chat etiquette, and if you can't follow the rules, then this channel isn't for you. There's millions of other channels that you can go to if you can't, obey the rules, and some people, understand that and others don't. But, I feel like a lot of the people in the room, we have a lot more in common than people think. Even though, some of us might be men, some women, some in the United States, some across the globe, but I appreciate every single one of y'all. The community is great. And again, we can learn a lot from each other. End of the 7th inning, 9-4 Tigers. Wow, 15 hits for Detroit today. But again, there's a lot of channels out there, but I honestly don't think a lot, I hate to say it, but it's true too. Like when you see social media, there are so many people that are fake, fake this, fake that. And it's sickening, when I like scroll on social media and I see these videos of these people staging things to get clicks and people just being fake and not authentic. And it just makes me sick to my stomach, and then you get these people that fall for it, and think that these people are really genuine, real, good people. There's a lot of sheep out there, that just kind of follow the masses. And, you have to be able to stand up for yourself. And some people have better awareness than others, but I feel being authentic is the most important thing. But again, a lot of people have sold their soul just to be popular, to get likes and subs and to be fake, and some people recognize it, some people don't. But, I'll tell you, no matter how big we get on this channel, I will never change. Money will not change me. Again, I will always stay true to who I am. And I know a lot of people say that until they get the money or until they advance in life. But I promise you, no matter what happens, if I become a millionaire or if things get, quite a bit better for me before I pass, I am always going to care. I'm always going to make sure that I can do my best every single show. And I'm always going to be there for the people that are there for me. And I really do appreciate you guys very, very much, and this is something too. When you tell people that you're a part of like a channel, people don't get it. It's either you're on YouTube or you're not. So it's like if you have friends that aren't on YouTube, they don't get it, right? And the crazy thing is if you spend time on a channel, with people and you actually create bonds, right? Good ones, you're actually going to be closer with those people than people in your life face to face. Because I'm closer to a lot of you that are in the room than people here in Oregon. Like, I really don't hang out with anybody. I have one friend, Justin, he's my best friend. That's really the only person that I hang out with. And I only hang out with him like once a month, and then, like I said, there might be one or two people that I message. Like today, my friend Joey, I, message him usually once or twice a month, to check up on him. Hey, checking up on you. How are you? Are you okay? But and it's okay. It's better to have a smaller circle than have a bunch of fake people that don't really care about you or only care about you when you're winning. But when things are tough, they disappear, And again, as you get older, you start to realize hanging out with pets, it might be better than hanging out with people because some people suck, but there are some amazing people. And I'm talking about you in the room. You know who you are. And you guys are very, very special to me. And hopefully I'm special to you guys as well. Detroit 9, Seattle 4. We're in the top of the 8th. But the two things that I look forward to the most when I wake up is spending time with you guys and spending time with Paisley. And again, building bonds, is probably the most special thing, to me. The likes, the subs, the views, the donos, that's great. But these relationships that we're able to build with each other, that is the most important thing in my life besides Paisley Pup. And I really thank you guys for that. Pitch is low and into the dirt. Count is full to Riley Green as we have Edwin Bizzardo in the game. I mean, it can't get any worse than it is, right? We're down by 5, but we'll see where it goes. But I always will give you guys, the reality of how things are. I will never sugarcoat anything. I will always call a spade a spade. There will never be fakeness or not being authentic. It will always be genuine. It will always be real. 100% of the time. And it's not because I have to do it. It's because that's who I am. And I know a lot of you are in the room are the same way. 3-2 pitch. Popped up. Right to Julio. And I think you also start to realize as well, that, people in general, you don't have to try to make people happy. You have to make yourself happy, and again, just realizing those little things matter, in life. And again, what you see on the internet, isn't necessarily real, even though people think it is, until you find something that you feel with your bones that it's real, like this channel, then you'll know it. But if you have to kind of think about it, then it may not be what you actually think it is. So. That one is pop foul, behind in the count 0-2. Same, again, and I always love, and I always like to be able to, build the bonds and whatnot. And again, I feel like I'm an old soul. And I know some of you in the room feel like old souls, regardless of your age. Even if when you were younger, you might have felt like that way. And I feel like some people, even when they're young, 20 years old, 30 years old, you might have the look of someone that age, but again, mentally, you feel like 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, where you're like a Yoda. Like, you feel like you've experienced a lot and you feel like you understand things differently than some of your friends or family. And I know that some of y'all in the room are like me, have been either called an old soul or you feel like an old soul, and never change for anyone. Understand it's not our job in life to be popular and to be liked by everyone. It's about being true to yourself and finding your tribe and finding the people that actually want you to win and want you to succeed, which is a small group, because people are so competitive and people are, hey, I want you to do good, but not better than me type of mentality. But here, I want everyone to win, genuinely. Top of the 8th, 9-4 Tigers. Runner at first with 2 outs, and my dad, obviously, being a teacher for 30, 40 years, if I wasn't doing this, I would have probably become, something in that range, if not a teacher, mentor, boys and girls club, psychologist, therapist. I've always had a way, with people and words. That's why I was able to do phone sales for big companies for half my life, where, if you don't hit the number in a week, you're fired. That's a lot of pressure. But for me, I was able to kind of find the proper balance, of like, I don't need to lie to keep my job. I don't need to lie to get a sale. I'm not going to be number one in the company every week, and I'm okay with that, because my sales are going to stick, and the people that I talk to are going to remember me for being authentic and real and genuine, not someone that lied to them so that way I could get more commission, And I feel that, everyone will go down these different paths in life with choices. And, one of the best choices I made, is obviously having a dream and working hard to get to it, and then meeting people like you guys to make it worthwhile. McKinstry popped up. There we go. And they leave one stranded, but we're down by 5. Go to the bottom of the 8th inning. Hey, we only need 5 runs. Let's get it, baby. Because the organization is cheap. That's the simple answer. Let's see who's up here for the Mariners. But I honestly like being able to, kind of, show off you guys. Again, other channels don't do it, and again, just to be able to have the ability to, represent each person, based on what they like, instead of just making every photo about me and what I like. It's not always about me. I'm the host, but that doesn't mean that the channel is all about me. It's just as much about the people that are a part of this channel on a daily basis that it is about me. It's a team effort, like I might be one of the, I might be the coach, but I need players, and, I got some great ones in the room, and I feel really blessed to, have these friendships that I have and bonds. Sometimes it starts at fans, right? And then it turns into friends. And for some of y'all, it's family. And, and I know it's kind of a cliche thing to say, but it truly is. We are the Fanatic family for some, not everyone, but for the, few of you that who you are, it's a very special bond, and, hopefully we'll be able to have these bonds for the rest of our lives. Bottom of the 8th, 9-4 Tigers. Let's see who's up here for the Mariners. Oh, we got Dylan Moore hitting for Rowdy Tellez. Okay. I guess you got to have someone else get a chance to bat. All right, Demo, come on, baby. And I also feel too, that I feel I'm well versed, that I could really do anything. It's like I could do video games, I could do beat making, we could talk about conspiracies. It's just a matter of time before the channel evolves into just sports, at some point or another. But obviously that's the focal point, that I have to build this until we get to a point where, we can do other shows for other things. There's a lot of interest that I have other than just sports, and a lot of you guys know that. Bottom of the 8th, 9-4 Tigers. And we got Demo in the box. Check swing. Did he go? No, he did not. Or did he? Oh, God, he did go. Behind in the count, 0-2. No, you're good, Megan. Now, it all depends, Rizzy, if you're an actual Mariner fan and you follow the team, but 3 out of the last 4 years, we only missed the playoffs by 1 game. And then when Julio's rookie year, we made it, so again, it's about finding the right type of players and the right combination of making things work. But if the management and ownership refuse to pay the big money to get the better players, that's why we've been a bottom 5 hitting team, but a top 3 pitching team. So eventually, if we can get the batting to catch up to the pitching and then the bullpen and everything, then, we're going to be able to make a deep run at some point. But again, it has to be a team effort, like in anything, right? Just like in a job, if you have a shitty owner or a shitty manager, you're not going to be able to keep the good employees that want to be a part of that, team. So same thing goes with the Mariners. If you or like the Dallas Cowboys, if all you care is about profits, the Cowboys are never going to win, and it shows. They out of all the NFC teams, they're the one at the dead bottom, of being able to make it back to the NFC Championship game, because they don't care about anything besides making money, and it shows. And then you got guys like Stephen A. and Skip talking about the Cowboys are going to make the Super Bowl, and it's all for clicks, just to argue and whatnot. But no one really thinks that they're going to actually make it unless you're actually a Cowboy fan and maybe a little delusional. Unless you're, if you don't follow any of the other teams and don't understand how football works, or, the management side works, but you have to pay to play, right? If you spend money to make money, if you don't spend money, you're not going to make money. You have to invest to be able to, take it to another level. You just can't be bare bones, doing the bare minimum and thinking that you're going to become a multimillionaire or you're going to win the championship. You have to, do certain things to give yourself a better chance. A little slow roll dribbler, throw to first, 2 away. Oh, I love Woo. You could say right now he might be the second best pitcher on the team behind Logan Gilbert, and maybe even better than George Kirby, and that's a statement because Kirby's good too. So it's like, and I like Bryce Miller. He's on the up and up, and he's better than Castillo, but again, it's, we just have to find better players, and we have to spend money, and if we could spend more money, we could, make it to the ALCS or the World Series one day. We're the only team in MLB that hasn't made a World Series, but we actually have players that are typically good enough to make a deep run, but, baseball's tough, No, and you're good, the thing is, some people, depending on the topics that we talk about, some people, might get irritated, by certain things being brought up. But for me, I don't get irritated because, again, it's like therapy here. Like I would be like a psychologist or a therapist. This is like one of the only places on YouTube Just because I'm a sport channel doesn't mean that we can't like open up and be able to talk about things that are going on in our life and problems and then actually be heard. And then on top of that, going to the next level and being able to share like photos and personal experiences. So that way that people can actually feel heard, that you're actually getting listened to and that people care, other than just me, and again, that's what makes this channel special. That, it's like one of these rare places where, depending on the relationship that you have with me and the others in the room, that some people will open up, not everyone, and sometimes things, are private, and they should be, but again, it's like a support system here. Like, and again, a lot of channels say that, but it's not true. But for here, it really is. And, again, I just want people to be happy, and I want to be able to be there for people the best way that I can. Elliot in the building. Big E, my boy. What's good, brother? How are you? And it always makes things better, when you're not alone, and a lot of times, all of us, depending on if you're an introvert or an extrovert, sometimes you go at different phases in your life. Like around some people, you might be really social, right? Like for me, depending on certain people, back when I was younger, super social, lots of friends, or people that I thought were my friends, and then you get a little bit older and you mature, and then you start to realize, hey, maybe I would rather just spend time with my pet rather than go out. And then you become a little bit more sheltered and a little bit more to yourself, which is okay, but again, you want to make sure that you're still like staying active, like exercising and, interacting with people, even though you might not see people face to face. You want to make sure you're not closing yourself off to everyone and like living in the dark, because then that's like depression and anxiety and all those bad thoughts start creeping in. So there has to be like a balance of like, being social, but not too social, but being able to have a routine, spending time with pets and the people that love you and that care about you, and not caring about what other people think, and just being true to yourself and not trying to be someone that you're not, where in a society right now, everything on social media is fake, and again, just because you see it on social media doesn't mean that they're not using a filter or lying, and again, a lot of stuff is just, for clicks. And a lot of times when people, they look happy, those are the people that are fucking the worst. They're depressed. It's just a fugazi act that they're putting on, Top of the ninth, 9-4 Tigers. Bizzardo on the mound. Sweeney in the box. I miss you, my brother, Double E. Shortstop Trey Sweeney in the box here, 2 for 4 today. Nice day with a run in RBI. I mean, everyone's had a nice day for the Tigers today. 0-1 pitch from Bizzardo to Sweeney. Jammed him, popped up, fading foul. Yeah, I can do that here in a second. I had to delete some of the photos to make room for others, but I can in a moment. Pitch is outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Yeah, it was a mistake, bro. I mean, hitting it in San Diego is different than hitting in Seattle. You can have him back for Cheetos if you want, but I think it was a mistake like Polo and Garv last year. I think actually Mastroboni should be getting some more time to play. He hasn't really been able to get a chance, and the chance that he did get, he got a hit. But I'm not a real big fan of Solano. It kind of feels like, Garver and Polo last year, the same type of thing. It was probably good for you, and it worked out with all the amazing players that you had on your team, but he is not a good fit here in Seattle. And again, I hope that he gets better. But to me, that was a huge mistake on the Mariners management. But again, what's new? We always make mistakes. Instead of like keeping the player that's good, right? That we should have kept, like Eugenio Suarez, defender, home run hitter. And what happens? We get rid of him and Robbie Ray for cash. And now Eugenio Suarez is one of the best players in MLB, getting player of the month and hitting homer after homer after homer. So again, if you don't have smart people at the top, then this is what happens. You end up making dumb fucking decisions. And it shows you have to have intelligence at the top. If you do not have intelligence at the top, you will never be able to hit your potential. You got a bunch of dumbasses at the top, that are trying to, cut corners, pinch pennies, and get wrong fits. Then, look at the Mariners. This is the type of shit that we do on the regular. You got to take care of your own, not let them go somewhere else and then bring in someone that's not going to work out here, But Solano has been a failure so far here. But a lot of guys on the Mariners, have been kind of failures up to this point. But we'll see where it goes. Baez with a single. Yeah, I mean, good numbers for you, but also Seattle's ballpark is a lot harder to hit than it is in Petco and fucking San Diego. You got a hitter-friendly park, and again, look at all the supporting cast that was around him, all those amazing players that you had. You guys have like a fucking all-star team. The Mariners are not built the same way. So again, you might get a guy that hits 280 or 300 or 310, but that does not mean that they're going to do it here. It's like Seattle is one of the hardest ballparks to hit at. I mean, even the elite players like Ichiro even said it, and it's like we were lucky enough to have guys like Griffey and, Edgar and Ichiro, even though obviously Griffey, was in the Kingdom and then went to the Reds and then came back and whatnot. But, the actual layout of the ballpark, it's one of the hardest to be able to hit home runs. And, it's one of the lowest batting averages, for teams that come in, let alone, our own team with Seattle. So 1-2 pitch for Brizardo. Little chopper. Force out, throw to first. Double play. There we go. All right, we can throw up some of the cosplay stuff that Megan has got going for her Back to the Future event. Some LA gears. I like the colors. Stylish. Definitely gives you 80s or 90s vibes. And then some of the clothes that you're going to have to kind of have that Michael J. Fox look in the Back to the Future. Always got to have the vest. And then if I go farther back, we can go to the other items. I still have that here too. Go further back on one of these older posts from a few weeks ago. Starting to come together. And then the last piece from way back, from a few weeks back. Your boy knows. But the outfit is really starting to come together, though. Got the hat. You got and that's just like a shirt that looks like that instead of like the full look. Because at first it looks like an actual, like, okay, you got the vest, you got the undershirt, but that's just a t-shirt that actually looks like that. But it's a very sneaky, t-shirt that looks like it's got the whole setup there. And then you pair it up with the shoes. You are going to be styling and profiling. All right, Victor Robles, last opportunity here for the Mariners. I mean, at least we did get to 4. I was thinking we would have to get to 4 or 5 to be competitive, but, you know, when you give up 6 runs and your starting pitcher goes out in the first inning and then you bring in the worst mid-reliever and Sauce after, you know, is a recipe for disaster, but we'll play better tomorrow. He flies out one away. But again, sometimes when the games are bad, you know, it gives us an opportunity to be able to talk about life and, you know, other things that are going on, you know, personal and, you know, other things. So it never is a bad stream. You know, it's always going to be uplifting, even if we end up getting killed, you know, 9-4. You know, there's always going to be good moments in every stream. So. Oh, I hear Paisley Pup. She gave me a wow wow outside the door. Hold on, honey. Hi. Daddy's almost done. Oh, love you. I love you. She gave me the I love you stretch. Hi. Oh! She wanted to make an appearance. Lay down. Dad's almost done. You know, it definitely changes you, you know, when you end up having like your soul dog or your soul cat. You know, you always see these people, you know, that maybe has like a soul dog or a soul cat and they post about him a lot and then you just don't get it. You know, like you're like, why do you post so much? And then when it happens to you, then you get it. And then you understand like how special, you know, that relationship and that bond is. You know, like sometimes you'll have a more special, close bond with an animal than even a human. You know, like I haven't really had, you know, good relationships with like girlfriends, and I've never been married and anything. But, you know, this pup has changed my life for the better. She saved my life. She really did. Cal Raleigh, back, gone. Ooh, baby. Paisley comes into the room and we get Tridents up, baby. Cal Raleigh. I mean, we could have got a little bit more runs earlier, but now it's 9-6 with 1 out. Big dumper. Let's go. Way to bring the electricity, Paisley. She's our good luck charm. Let's go. He said back. See ya. Tridents up. High fives in the dugout. Nice job, Cal. Way to be. I was not expecting that. Tridents up. Yeah, but, you know, she was like an angel sent from heaven, you know, right place, right time, you know, and I've never felt, you know, this type of way before, you know, and it changed my life for the better. You know, I have such a different perspective on life, you know, after having her in my life. And I know it's going to be a soul-crushing day when we're not together down the road. But, you know, for every one day that I live is like 7 days for her. And I want to make sure that, you know, if I can't spend, you know, my whole life with her, you know, at least that she's able to spend her whole life with me. And there is a little beauty in that. And, you know, I'm going to go out of my way every single day of my life, you know, because she's worth it. Bottom of the 6th, nah. Bottom of the 9th, 9-6 Tigers, 1 out, and we got Randy Arozarena in the box. 2-0 pitch. Pitch is outside. 3-0 count. Could you imagine if we actually came back and tied this game up and went into extras and won 10-9? Remember, when we were down 6-0 in 2021 against the Astros, we came back and won 11-8. Not saying that it's going to happen today, but at least we're fighting. It's a good sign for tomorrow's game. That's why, for me, other people can turn the game off, but I'm always going to, stick it out no matter what. Not just because it's just my job, but even if I wasn't streaming, I watch games in entirety. Easier said than done, especially when you get down by a lot. I'm human like all y'all as well. Big swing and a miss. Down goes Randy. 2 away. Next up is Jorge Polanco. Can Polo go yard? I hope so. First pitch to Polo. Big swing and a miss. Behind in the count 0-1. Come on, Polo. I mean, he's been our best hitter so far in 2025. I mean, which isn't saying a whole lot, but he's batting, what, 429? I would say that's pretty damn good. Nobody else close to that. O2 pitch, line drive, right to third base, and that is game. Final score, Tigers 9, Mariners 6, and if we just didn't give up fucking 6 runs in the first inning, what could have been? Maybe we win this game, or we go to extra innings and we see what happens. So, tough one, but again, we shot ourselves in the foot with bad defense and bad pitching, and again, we split with the Athletics 2-2. And again, we still have a few more games, with the Tigers. We'll be live tomorrow, same place, same time. Hang out with me, have some fun, and hopefully on top of the Mariners hopefully winning, we can talk about what's going on in our lives and, share some positive influence with each other. So a shout out to all the people that liked, subbed, donated, commented, and shared. Shout out to Megan, STL, Reflect, Sarah, and a few others. I appreciate you guys very, very much. Good to see Double E in the building. We haven't seen him in a minute. Hopefully we can get Shep in the building at some point or another. I know he's going through it, and it would be great for him to come in here for mental health. But again, it's up to the people, to come here. I'm giving you a place, a resource to be able to get better. But again, it's up to the person to come here, again, because if you end up just trying to deal with shit yourself, you may be able to climb out of the hole. But again, if you alienate yourself from everyone that's been close to you, sometimes it takes longer to get back on track. And I'm not saying that this is going to be a place where I'm going to fix everything, but we have a good community here. And if you're feeling like at a 0 or a 1, I might be able to get you to a 5 by the stream is over. And then tomorrow, maybe you're a 6. And then 3 days later, you're a 7. And maybe 3 days later, you're a 10. And you're back to, being where you need to be. So, but I love you guys and I appreciate you guys very, very much. And I got one question for you. Well, talk sports like us. Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. Same time, same place tomorrow. Tigers and Mariners, Tuesday evening at 6:30 Pacific. I love you guys, and I am out. Gang.